All right. Good evening, everybody. I'll ask you all to please take your seats at this time.
And be quiet.
My name is Chris Villa, and I am your mayor, and this is the last time in an official city commission meeting that I get to bang this gavel and welcome you all to City Hall and to call this meeting to order. Val, please call the roll.
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Daniel?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Villa?
Here. And as I stated, this is my last official meeting as your mayor. 8 years has come very fast. 6 years as mayor and 2 years as your District 4 city commissioner. And I see a lot of my neighbors and friends, colleagues out in the audience. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to assure you that you all will be heard tonight through our public comments. And at this time, I want to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones or any electronic devices that could make noise at this time. And I'll ask you all to please stand for the invocation and followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Would you pray with me? Dear God, we come to you tonight as your humble servants. Dear Lord, we open our hearts to you. I thank you, dear God, for allowing me the privilege to serve this city in this capacity as mayor. Dear God, I ask that you bless this city every day from now on. I ask you to help with the recovery from Hurricane Milton. I ask for strength, resilience, and unity as citizens in the city recover and we build back stronger. Dear God, I thank you for the protection of our police and our first responders. And I ask for continued safety and protection and guidance for them. Dear God, I pray especially for our citizens. Please bless them abundantly, their families, and their well-being. I ask for guidance for city leadership. I pray for wisdom, compassion, and unity for the current and future leadership of this city. Dear God, we pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
justice for all. All righty, thank you, everyone. So we have a presentation here tonight. Mr. Forte, A is coming off the agenda, correct?
Yes, sir.
That'll be
Requested it to come off. I'm not sure if they're here, but yeah.
for the farewell address? Okay. So we're going to go to item B, which is the Government Finance Officers Association Award of Excellence. Mr. Forte, do you want to introduce that?
Certainly, Mayor. Just give me a moment. Let me get my system back up.
No problem.
You have the award with you? Is it up there?
I don't have the award here. Val, do you?
Where did it go?
Is Mrs. Moore in the audience?
You have it?
Do you have it, Michelle?
I have the attachment, but not the award itself.
You could pull up the attachment on the screen if you want. Do you want to bring Mrs. Moore up here?
Yes.
She don't want to come up.
Are you pulling it up on your end, Mr.
Yes.
Forte?
Okay, so-
I'll have him call her up.
Yeah, I've got it. So the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, the GFOA, has awarded a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Finance Reporting to the City of Holly Hill for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2023. The report has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motive motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. So we're very proud that Michelle Moore and her staff were able to put the report together with this fine-tune and earn this award once again on behalf of the City of Holly Hill. So if you'd like to do a photo, we can do that.
We could do that after the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, and I appreciate it, Mrs. Moore. Mrs. Moore, for the people who don't know, is our finance director here and does a wonderful job for the City of Holly Hill. So just want to applaud you and your staff for this great honor, and thank you very much for your service, and we appreciate all that you do for the city. So thank you very much. With that, we're going to move on to number 3, public comments, which will probably be a very popular item here today. So there's a couple people in the audience that a few more than usual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through here the rules for public speaking so that everyone understands how this works. Most places have 3 minutes to speak. Here we allow you 5 minutes. This is the time for public comments and an opportunity for members of the audience to address the City Commission about anything not on our regular agenda tonight. Before we begin, I'd like to go over the rules for public speaking to ensure that our meeting runs efficiently and respectfully. I will call upon members of the audience to speak one by one, selecting from those who raise their hand to indicate that they wish to speak. When you speak, please introduce yourself clearly, stating your name and address for the record. Make sure to speak directly into the microphone so that your comments are recorded accurately. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes to address the City Commission on matters not included on the regular agenda. When you have 30 seconds remaining, our City Clerk, Mrs. Manning, will ring a bell once. When your time expires, the clerk will ring the bell again, and at that point, please conclude your remarks. To be fair to all who wish to speak, each person will only be allowed to come to the podium once for public comments and will not be permitted a second time. However, you may come up later in the meeting to speak on items that the City Commission will be voting on to comment on those items specifically. This is to ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to speak, and I ask that you please be mindful of your time and the time of others. I ask that you also please be courteous and respectful of all of the speakers here tonight and the proceedings of the meeting. Additionally, this is your opportunity to address the City Commission and make your comments known. This is not a question and answer session, and we cannot respond to every question immediately. However, we will listen to your questions if you have any, and our city will take note of them to provide answers at a later time. Thank you for your cooperation. We look forward to hearing your comments. So with that said, we're going to kick off public comments, and just raise your hand. In the back, you raised your hand first. Yes, sir. And then Tracy, I'm going to go to you next. You were next. Welcome.
Hi.
State your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Scott Singler. I own the property at 832 Carswell Avenue. What I'm here to talk about is I've spoke with city staff. I'm not going to name anybody, but I've spoke with city staff multiple times over a few years regarding the storm drain system that services State and Carswell Avenue. I don't know how many people know. I just learned this on my last meeting. That particular system has 4 inlets up on Ridgewood Avenue, right on the 4 corners of 8th Street and Ridgewood Avenue. I don't know if there's more down farther. I can't remember, but I know there's there. That system comes down from Ridgewood, is considerably higher than State or Carswell. It comes down there. It picks up the run from State Avenue from the north going south. It picks up those catch basins, and it goes down to Carswell, and it continues on straight into the ditch that's owned by the East Coast Railway. That ditch is plugged. It's their property. It's not the city's property, so I'm not quite sure why it's draining into their ditch. But when it goes down Carswell, it dead ends down there on Carswell, picks up all those. In a normal summer afternoon heavy rainstorm, within 10 to 15 minutes of a good rainstorm, water starts boiling up out of Carswell Avenue catch basins in front of my property, where I have the lowest one there, because it goes into a valley there. It starts boiling up out of both of those, and then it will just fills that street. It's been doing this for years and years and years. A couple years ago, I went down to during one of these big storms. It just started and it's boiling up, and I was a little irritated. So I went down to 10th Street to see what was going on. I know that those catch basins go into that ditch that's owned by the East Coast Railroad, because one of them goes right under my parking area, and I see where it goes in there. But that ditch is half full of sediment. It's actually, the bottom of that ditch is higher than, not the top of the catch basin, but you can go to those catch basins anytime. They're only usually about a foot below the street, whether it's raining or not. That tells you those basins are lower than that ditch already. So this time I went down there a couple years ago, the culvert that goes under 10th Street, I'm guessing it's about 3 foot maybe. It might not be that big, but it's a pretty good sized culvert. It is over halfway full where the inlet comes in from Carswell headed north to 10th Street. That inlet is more than half full of sediment. So it blocks up right there. When it goes out the other side, it comes out by your new pickleball court area right there, and then it goes on down. But we've got to get something going here. We've flooded, my property took in 14 inches on this storm in 22. 2 years and 10 days earlier, it took in 12 inches of water. And we just can't keep doing this. I'm going to give a suggestion. Take it for what it's worth. My suggestion would be that the city needs to block off everything. I don't know how they got those drains, first of all, into the East Coast Railway ditch, because I don't think, it was done years ago. Okay, I don't know how it happened, but it shouldn't be draining there, because that ditch goes all the way to the canal, the retention pond, and I think onto the canal. My idea would be, just for thought, the city needs to continue that storm drain north, under 10th Street, down through the edge of your property, which is your pickleball courts, and put it into the canal on LPGA with a duckbill on it, so it can't backflow. But, I mean, we're getting water. It's not the railroad water that's doing it. It's the water coming from Ridgewood and all those catch basins. They just dead end right there. They don't really go into anything other than that ditch that's on the east side of the East Coast Railway. And it's totally plugged. You can't even see that ditch from 8th Street. It just looks like it's flat ground there, but there's a ditch supposedly in there. That's where I'm at. I would like to see the city do something. This is not just a hurricane issue. It happens every time there's a storm. I'll bet you I see street people out there, I don't know, 10, 15 times during the summer at least, putting barricades on there because it's backing up, because it's boiling up out of the storm drains. It's not taking the water, that's where it's dispersing all that upper water down to there. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate something be done.
Thank you, Mr. Singler.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, I think you said Tracy's next.
Hello, Tracy Anderson, 916 Newcastle Court, Holly Hill. I've been here for 35 years, and 2009 was the first storm, and I live with 3 cul-de-sacs, and it flooded, lost everything. It was a storm 1 in 100 years, is what I was told. Now we come back to 222. Ian, I am flooded again, I've lost everything again. My home is full, again. It comes down in our streets. We are the lowest section in that area. Now, there's one change that has been made. There are new townhouses built down. Mirage Group has come and built some stuff. They put a beautiful lake in there. They want to call it Rainbow Lake, but it's not taking care of our problem. We're getting flooded. If it rains 3 days or it rains a lot And Mr. Forte, I had you out there one day. The rain comes down like crazy. The rain comes down Alabama, keeps coming. On the first cul-de-sac, it comes around, okay? Now, to the other day, again, we have 20 minutes. Once our drain stops outside, we have 20 minutes to leave our property, or we are stuck in there. The rain did not go down. We could not get down to my street until Sunday. Sunday, that's a lot of time for water to stay in there. And this isn't just any water. This is sewer water. This is everything. Guy on Alabama, his kid's outside catching fish in the street. He got a snook this big, okay, in the street. Now, I asked him if he would watch the water. He did. What's happened is between Rainbow Lake and the canal is maybe 8 feet, okay? Once that gets blocked, because everything comes down, I was told everything comes down, downhill from the dog park and everything, okay? Once it goes over that little buffer, we are now a lake. It doesn't go anyplace else. It comes down, it comes around the townhouses once it gets full, comes down Alabama and around the corner and floods all 3 houses. So we're getting flooded all the way around. The homes that are built now are higher than us. What my question also is, who did the study on this water? Who did the study on this? Was there a study done on this? That would be my question. Because at this point, not to be rude, but whoever did that study needs to go back to school. Because we shouldn't be like this. Do you know what it's like to wake up every morning to look at the weather report to see if you have to stay home to put stuff up? Because if it rains, you can't leave? I mean, my neighbor went on a vacation. He goes, call me if there's a storm or anything, if my house floods. Every day, we're looking at this. I have one neighbor that looks at the drain every day to see where it is. We should not. This is supposed to be my retirement. I cannot start over. But I cannot live like this. It's not fair. I have insurance, but a lot of people do not have insurance. And to be truthful with all of you, I'm too darn old to keep doing this all the time. I need to be secure in my house. I wouldn't wish this on any of you. Roy, you've been out there. You saw what I was talking about. It's not fair to live like this. Everything changed when you guys let them build those homes. And guess what? They're going to build some more. Then we're going to be underwater all the time. We can't sell our homes either because now we are a flood zone area. When I bought this house in 1989, it was not a flood zone. Okay? It was not a flood zone. We need somebody, I really would like to know, get an answer to say, who did the study? Where is the study? Can I get a copy of it? Because I'm telling you, you guys just do not understand the gut feeling every time it rains. And we should not have to live like that. We all chose here to live in Holly Hill. We felt secure in our homes, and we're not secure anymore. I'm just asking you to really think about this, you know, look into your hearts, look into your souls, because I'm telling you, you just don't know how life is, and you don't know what's going to happen. You're an insurance man. You know how it is. It's horrible. There's people worse off, and I agree there's people worse off than me, and I understand that. I feel bad for all of them, but darn it, please, help us, help those 3 streets. This is our life. You're fooling with our life, okay? You are actually fooling with our lives. Please, get some compassion. Get a plan. Get a plan. You've had 2 years for a plan. Nothing's changed. I haven't seen anything change in 2 years. Please, get a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Yes, sir, you raised your hand in the back? Yep. Welcome, sir. Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Name's Tom Cheney, 1008 Indian Oaks East, Holly Hill. I've been in this area since 1956, and I've been in my house since 1977 here in Holly Hill. This is the first time I've flooded. My neighbors have flooded 2 years ago and some prior to that, but it seems to be becoming a lot more regular and a lot more water. I've seen things change. We used to have Canal Road instead of Nova Road, and you could see the canal, but all through Daytona, they covered it. The canal's still there, and it all runs down, as far as I know, to the 11th Street Canal. And as building keeps happening, not only in Holly Hill, but also west of us, all that water comes eventually to the 11th Street Canal. I don't know when it was built, but it wasn't designed to carry the load that's put upon it today. So what's happening? The city of Holly Hill is becoming a retention pond. And that's why so many of us have flooded. And it's going to continue. And yet, you guys probably are still approving building permits to build new developments. I don't know that. But if you are, you're adding to the problem because the water, 11th Street Canal, cannot handle it when we get more rain than normal. I don't know who's west of us, whether that's county or Daytona Beach or both, but if you go out LPGA, you will see giant apartment complexes going up constantly, more and more runoff, and I could be wrong, but I'm betting that goes to the 11th Street Canal. They're liable. No one should be approving that. They have to manage their own water. But they manage their own water, run it to the 11th Street Canal. What does that do? It impacts us. That does make them liable. You guys have the ability to bring suit against them for what they're doing to your city. And I don't know if you've ever explored it, but you should. Somebody needs to, because it's just going to get worse. More and more people will flood, and pretty soon there won't be a Holly Hill. Like I said, we'll be a retention pond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cheney. Yes, sir. Right there in the aisle. Welcome. Just state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Robert Arnold, 1021 Indian Oaks East, and Tom is my neighbor. And like Tom said, I've been in my house built November 1977. I've never been in a floodplain, sir. My house had 18 inches of water in it. 18 inches of water. I'm a retired Army engineer. I've talked to Mr. Forte several times. I've talked to the county. I've talked to several commissioners. And it seems like no one wants to take responsibility for the drainage system, for the canal. I finally got through to the county to do something 2 years ago to the 11th Street Canal. I had to prove to them that a section of that canal was their responsibility. The canal needs to be something done with it, sir. The drainage on Indian Oaks East and Indian Oaks West, if we get a moderate rainstorm lasting more than 30 minutes, there's anywhere from 4 to 12 to 16 inches of water in the street every time. My house has never flooded in 47 years, sirs, ma'am. Do you know what it's like to console your wife when she's hysteric and saying we're losing everything? I'm 67 years old. My wife is 73 and handicapped. I literally had to carry my wife out of the bed into our car, into safety. Excuse me. I love Holly Hill. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. But something has to be done. You're playing with these people's lives. You are. Not personally, but you as the mayor and the commission, you have to do something. You're going to lose good citizens. You're losing them now. I already know 3 people in my street. They're gone. I really hate to say this, sir, but on Thursday morning, and if I could approach you, I'd like to show you a picture of my house. That's at 7 o'clock in the morning, sir. That's my neighborhood. I'm 6'4". In the middle of the street, the water was this deep on me. I really hate to say this, and it bothers me. My wife asked me Friday morning when the water was still 2 feet deep in the street, she goes, "What do you want to do?" I said, "We can rebuild. We can rebuild bigger, better, hopefully stronger." And she goes, "But the water is still going to come, and it's going to come again and again and again. We're too old to start over. And I asked her, what do you want to do, dear? She says, I'm a North Carolina born and bred girl. Will you take me back home to North Carolina? I said, you're going home to North Carolina. I'm leaving Holly Hill, sir. Not because I want to, because I have to for the safety of my family. That's a damn thing to say when you love the city. Thank you. Thank you. God bless the city of Holly Hill and its citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Appreciate it. Yep, you. In the black? Yeah. What we'll do is we'll tee up a couple, so raise your hand if you want to speak. You'll be next, Lynn. I saw your hand up first. Come on up, yep, and just introduce yourself, and you'll have 5 minutes.
All right, hi, my name is Allison Fowler. I live at 1539 Mobile Avenue in Holly Hill. My mom and my father bought that house in 1975. I have lived in that house since 1977. I'm one of the rare breeds. I'm a natural citizen of Holly Hill, born and raised. I listened to all these wonderful people speak about the flooding system. 2009 I flooded because of the wonderful rain that we had. Never have flooded before in Holly Hill. Ian, I flooded. Again, you see me looking like a rag doll. I flooded again. 18 inches in my house. I'm working in my house around the clock. I'm disabled. I'm a stroke patient out there doing what I have to. Am I leaving Holly Hill? Yes. I hate to leave Holly Hill because I'm born and raised. I love my city, but now I have loved to hate it. When we get a little bit of rain, right in the middle of my street, Chris, you have been to my house when you wanted to be elected. A little bit of water in the front of the street, I'm flooded. Everything ponds right in front of my house. Yes, I'm in a flood zone. Was never in a flood zone until now. Now I have to rebuild back to put my house back up for sale. I'm done. When I get a little bit of rain in our neighborhood, my toilets bubble. I got sewage, other residents' sewage in my house. What am I supposed to do? Nothing is being done. I talked to the city manager. I spoke to you. This is not getting resolved, and I see everybody building more, building more. Now this wonderful Pictona RV park. I'm glad that land was flooded because you know what? It was running down my street. More neighbors across the street that never flooded before, they flooded. My whole neighborhood flooded this time. Do I get any help from the police or the city officials to actually block off my neighborhood? No, we had to get out there as residents so people wouldn't come through our neighborhood to wade more. My backyard, my 8-year-old, my backyard was up to her neck. I wanted to speak to the church that owns the land behind me. I get nowhere. Just those trees fall on our houses in the back, we don't get nowhere. I talked to the county about this because the canal in the back. The county says that it's City of Holly Hill. City of Holly Hill says it's county. Somebody please help us. Now this time I'm getting water from the front yard to the backyard. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I've got neighbors that are in their 70s that can't restart. I've got a neighbor next door to me that's 75 years old. And you know what she's sitting in now? A moldy house because she doesn't have the insurance. Thank goodness I do. She doesn't have the help to unpack our house. We're having to, as neighbors, binding together. We're having to help each other. But we're all tired. I see my whole street underwater every single time. It rains a little bit, I feel like, well, here we go again. But now you know what's so sad is having an 8-year-old scared to go to sleep at night. When she gets up, you know what she does? She shines a flashlight on the floor because she's lost everything twice. Twice. You know what it is to have an 8-year-old lose all of her toys? The most important thing to her is a bicycle. It's covered in sewage. I can't let my daughter that. And on top of it, I just found out my daughter's got leukemia and she has to live in this? No way. I'm going to take my daughter out of Holly Hill because Holly Hill won't do nothing about the drainage system, the sewage system that comes to my house. And the worst part of it is, when there is a storm, I don't know if the City Hall turns off the septic tanks or the pumps, but you hear nothing but bubbling up through it. Just a little bit of rain, I'm bubbling. I've got sewage backing up in my house every single time. Literally, my house smells like a geriatric squad because I got someone else's feces in my house coming up out of my drains. That's disgusting. And I'm frustrated. Instead of issuing more building permits and adding on to the city, let's fix what we have. Let's seriously fix what we have, because if not, you are going to lose residents that have been here for 47 years. You are going to lose residents that have been here a long time. I can't rebuild back anymore. I'm spending my financial savings to build back again. So I have a place to put my daughter in instead of a hotel, especially this is not good in this area. So please, I ask the city to help fix the drainage system, stop issuing building permits for new stuff, and let's fix what we have first. Because I hear the 11th Street issue, that is an understatement. Because we're getting everybody else's stuff. So please help us.
Thank you very much, Ms. Power. All right, Lynn, and then after Lynn, you had your hand up first. Yes, you. That's waving.
Lynn Smith, 107 7th Street. I'm glad to see that some of the Facebook keyboard warriors may have come out or may not have come out and spoke rationally as opposed to irrationally. And I do feel that although there are a lot of issues, there's no like malicious or malintent on behalf of the City Council or any of the Public Works Department. Part of it is, I think, either you don't know what you don't know, or the people that you're hiring aren't educated enough or paid well enough to do their job and have enough to put the effort in to do maintenance or to take care of the ditches and the sewers and stuff like that. My husband has offered his knowledge to the city. I'm sure that you all know that. He has experience in water treatment plants and stuff like that. And what I hear is just disheartening that something's been going on for years, and people are just asking not only to take action, but what is the action plan? What are you preparing to do for something that's been going on for years? And I think that's another thing that people are really disgusted with. Also of disgust is not just flooding, but the raw sewage issue is very concerning. I mean, I don't really think it's right that people should be urinating and defecating in buckets for days in their own house because they can't use their toilet, and that's my sister included. And I'm not here on a personal level. I really am trying to speak on behalf of all the people who can't make it to the meeting, who are on Facebook, you know, this and that, bashing and not coming out and speaking rationally. But however, I have seen that those people are reporting to the DEP and the EPA, and those fines could be astronomical, as you know, and I'd rather not see our town's money spent on that. I'd rather see our money go towards infrastructure repairs, paying the public works, and maybe towards law enforcement too. If you have to raise taxes to do that, I'm sure people would rather pay a little bit more in taxes than have to replace the entire contents of their house or to rebuild their house in general. There's a lot more money than that. I think there's engineering problems that need correcting. This isn't just a hurricane problem, as you've heard everyone say. And the daily stress on the citizens is really unacceptable. I'm fortunate that, you know, my husband can take care of anything that happens to ours, and he's willing to help other people too. But honestly, you know, you're hearing that people are just done, and it is sad to hear that people would want to leave the city because of this. So I kind of feel like the gloves are off, and the citizens have their feet on your throats right now, figuratively, of course. But I don't think that they're going to lay off, and I don't think they should. So if there's anything that, you know, me or my husband can do to help the city, you know that we're always there for that. We're always available to help people too, and I just think that now's the time for the city to put out whatever they come up with, the plan, plan of action, tentatively, then more solidly, and then execute it. People need to regain their faith that you've listened to what they've said today and plan to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. And, yeah, you raised your hand, yep. And then, Kyle, you're next. Hello, welcome. Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Christian George, 1503 Mobile Avenue. I'm Allison's neighbor. We're like 5 houses apart. I bought my house January 24th of this year, but I've lived here since '98. So I've been through several hurricanes. I called the city before I even purchased the home because I knew it was in a flood zone. It flooded during Ian and Nicole. This year, I'm a single mom, and I care for an elderly woman in my house. She was water rescued. She's on oxygen. I lost everything. I had 4.5 feet of water in my backyard. I had 2 feet of water in my house. After I asked, what are you going to do about the canal? Because I knew that it hadn't been touched in years. I grew up on a farm in Missouri. I know stuff. I lost everything. I lost my daughter. My ex took my daughter because I have no place to go because I lost everything in my house. I went to the courts. They're like, oh, it's not an emergency. Even though I can go get a hotel, I lost my daughter because of the flooding. I've only lived in this house, 8 months? And I asked you guys, I called. I did my due diligence. Yes, I know I'm in a flood zone. I have flood insurance. What am I supposed to do now? What? It's only me. The lady I take care of, she's in a rehab facility because I can't bring her home. My house sunk 4 inches. My house smells like poo and urine because there was poo and stuff floating. My neighbor right here in the red shirt, he's probably got 2 feet, a foot of just raw sewage sitting next to his house. It's disgusting. I wouldn't have spent $300,000 on a house if I would have known. I'm tired. I'm self-employed and a single mom. I don't know what to do. I don't. I need help. You guys need help. LPGA runs behind my house. So you got LPGA down behind my house. I'm at 15th and Mobile. None of the canals have been cleaned out. I have pictures of the canals. They're blocked. You cut the right of way, but none of the culverts have been cleaned out. You just cut it and leave all the debris in there. They're all broken. There's still a tree there. I went out during the storm. Nothing. I had water that close to coming in my windows. My daughter's 9. The only part of my house that's safe is the loft upstairs, which is her room. Everything else is gone. I have to have a structural engineer come out to a house I just bought. And it has to be lifted. The family room in the back room sunk 1/4 of an inch. How can you guys help? I'm still trying to cut drywall out and work and trying to get my daughter back. That's all I have to say. My daughter is the most important thing in my entire life, and I lost her because of the storm. Who's going to help me do that? Fix it. I have no place to go. Fix it.
Thank you, ma'am. Kyle's next, and then anybody else want to raise their hand to go after Kyle? Right next to you. And then we'll go to you, Danielle. Welcome. Just state your name and address for the record. You'll have
Kyle
5 minutes.
Stickney, 1490 Graham Avenue. The rate of occurrence of failure is a term coined to identify the increasing failure rate in any system of components over time. There's some very dark clouds on the horizon in this city. I'm here tonight to address just one of them. The insufficient deteriorating sewer system on Graham Avenue. Obviously, it's an imperative component to the city's sewer infrastructure, and the issue didn't just start with the 2 past hurricanes. You've been aware for the issue for a long time now and basically ignored it. Making a few phone calls and going back to business as usual is not addressing the issue. The sewer system was installed 70 years ago with a certain capacity in mind and has long surpassed that limit. Allowing Metro Electronics to rezone low-lying wetlands to commercial property and bring in loads of fill dirt to build a massive structure is a huge part of our flooding issue. There's nowhere for the water to go other than to overflow into the sewer system. Spewing feces into people's houses, I've seen an immense increase in flooding since that building was built. The incompetence in the city over the 40 years I've been here has been a shameful thing to see. We're told a massive development is being built at Flomish Mobile. They haven't even built a structure yet, and we can already see a huge increase in the amount of water being sent our way. The flood runoff is getting into the breached sewer lift station, overflowing raw feces and toilet paper inside many people's houses and yards. And none of you have a real answer. Through email, you try to quench the frustrations of the affected homeowners. You've been cleverly putting out the fires of the citizens' frustrations with slick catchphrases for too long, and most people have it figured out. I remember when the city was labeled itself as the city with a heart. Well, those times are long gone now, and it's now been run like a ruthless business seeking to maintain an unrealistic image with surrounding cities rather than sustaining a living standard for the taxpayers that keep the lights on in this building right here. Most citizens that live in this city tell others that they live in Daytona Beach because they're ashamed to say they live in Holly Hill anymore. This is a sad thing to see and be a part of. I'm well aware that the Holly Hill no longer has the equipment or the knowledge to fix the sewer issue, and I strongly suggest that you do what you've done on every other project you've started and weren't able to complete. Sub it out to a competent contractor. Replacing a single lift pump will not fix the issue, and you know that. The system is beyond overloaded, even on a decent rainstorm. Many coming in contact with sewage will potentially get chronic diseases from the raw feces they're being exposed to if they're not sick already and don't know it. The Bible says in Proverbs 17:15, he that justify the wicked and he that condemn the just are both an abomination to the Lord. Most of you justify the wicked and you condemn the just, and God hates it. God also says in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then God will hear their prayers from heaven. He'll forgive your sins and heal their land. Amen. Repent and do what's right in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the taxpayers. God sees everything that's done in secret and in the open. His word promises us that he will repay the wicked to their face on judgment day to destroy them. It's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of a living God, and it's time to get right with him before the wrath of God abides upon the unrepentant heathen. Absurdities like this make it crystal clear that the morality cannot be legislated. Get right with God, clear your conscience, and start doing the right thing.
Thank you, Kyle. Ma'am, I think you were next. Yes. You were next, ma'am. And then Danielle. Danielle, you're next. After her. Yes, after her. Welcome. Just state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Francesca Benner, and I live at 1498 Graham Avenue. I'm next door to Kyle and across the street from Candy, who's with us here tonight, too. I've lived there since April of 2021, and during this time, I've had to call the city multiple times to come and clear the exterior sewage line, which is 1 foot under my home and 2 foot outside of my bathroom wall on the north side of my property multiple times because the toilets won't flush. On September 5th, this is becoming an ongoing issue since September 5th. I called, they were unable to clear the line. They said until the rain subsides, you may not have flushing toilets. This went on for several weeks. On September 12th, they were supposed to return to my home with a licensed plumber, but they erroneously went to Candy's home across the street. And they they came with a licensed plumber. I saw the van out there. I was like, why are they over there? They did a clean out of her front line there, the outtake. Immediately after that, she developed a sewage geyser coming out of her front yard, which has flowed on and off for the last 40 days.
Oh, my God.
We have had a river of sewage flowing down our street for 40 days, on and off. The next day, they came to my home, they did the same thing at the front takeout in my yard, and in Kyle's yard, then also erupted to create geysers from my yard and Kyle's yard, which joined the river of sewage going down the street. Then the manhole in the center of Graham Avenue in front of our homes erupted to create another river of sewage, which has continued to flow this whole time down our street, on and off. Furthermore, on the morning of the storm, the sewage began to back up into my home, into my bathroom from the base of the toilet. I began to email Mr. Forte, and at some point that morning, they came and removed the cap on that exterior sewage line 2 foot from my home, which created a literal pond of sewage that puddled the entire north length of my home and remained there for more than a week. A pond of sewage, toilet tissue, and feces that literally overflowed the curbing perimeter of my home onto my north lawn, saturated my entire north lawn to flow down to the sewage grate on the northeast corner of my property. This sewage line is still open on my property. It is dry. It's dry tissue, feces, sewage, all over the whole length of my north home and property. And I'm actually afraid to ask them to close that back up because I don't want it coming back into my home. Right? Understandable? Over the past 40 days, we have all been in contact with city officials begging for help. We've been told one thing and another, and that's been the most frustrating part of all of this, is that we've been told that this was all because of the hurricane, but this was going on significantly before the hurricane. I've had issues since I moved into the home, and it came to a crescendo a month before. As I said, for 40 days, we've had sewage running down our streets, in our yards and down our street, and in our homes. And I've been told that they're trying to determine where the breach is in the system so they can fix it. But everyone knows where the breach is. There's a breach in the lift station that's at the corner of Graham and Mobile Avenue, or excuse me, Graham and Walker, in front of Metra, that has been breached. There's a sinkhole there, and every time it rains, that is filling with stormwater and backing up our sewage. And so literally, every time it rains now, as someone said earlier, my toilets start bubbling. And the stench that's coming into our home is horrendous. So we are begging you all to please address the problem there, because this is not something that we can live with.
Yes, ma'am. We hear you. Thank you very much, Francesca. Danielle, were you next?
Danielle Latona, 904 Newcastle Court, obviously Holly Hill. First, I want to thank everybody for coming out, because I'm going to take some responsibility, because we didn't start this in 2009 and hound this city since 2009. I believe we're in this position today because of that. Wow. We were told it was a 100-year storm and it's never going to happen. And you know what? It's happened. It's happened, some of us 4 times, some of us 3 times since 2009. And this is unacceptable. This is our biggest investment in our life that we make. Doesn't matter what our ages are. The biggest investment is now worth nothing. Because, and I'm grateful that we now have to report since October 1st that our area has been a flood and how many times we flooded. I am glad that law passed. Because many people moved into homes like 2 doors down from me, sold their house 2 weeks before Hurricane Ian. I'm sorry, Milton, because there's been so many, I can't even keep up with them anymore. And guess what happened? They had no homeowners insurance because it was a cash buy, and they had to wait 30 days before they can get insurance on their property. It's not right. I'm going to make it a little personal because a lot of people in this room know my mom came here who had a stroke and was paralyzed. And Hurricane Ian, because I was told Tropical Storm Faye was 100-year because we had rain for 20-something hours and it dropped, and that's why we flooded. So when I get questioned from people, why did you stay when you know you flooded? Well, we weren't, according to the city and according to everybody else. It was a fluke. My neighbor's husband and friends of mine from Ormond Beach in a truck that the tires are literally this high had to carry my mom in the air in a wheelchair at 80 years old, petrified, crying, screaming. 2 years ago. And then I had to send her to New Jersey for 6.5 months so I could fix her home. And then she passed away not long after that. So those times that I would have had with her, I didn't have. And this isn't an emotional plea. This is reality. These are people's lives.
Yeah.
My grandson, okay? Once again, I had to call people because for 4 days, we couldn't leave our homes. We couldn't get to our cars. Okay? I can't even.
Danielle, just speak
No,
to the,
no, I
speak
want,
to the
I want it
microphone
to
too.
be seen.
Yeah, you
I
can
want
show
it to be seen.
you can show the photos.
You saw it because you came. Okay? People on the street saw it in a life jacket. My 18-month-old grandson in a life jacket walking in water up to here because of the debris, and if I fell, he would have fell in the water. That is not fair. You all know that that area floods and no precautions were taken previous. The retention pond at the end of our street is higher than our street. All the other canals and retention ponds backtrack and flow into our retention pond. So you know what I believe? That it's known that those 3 blocks flood. So we're going to prevent all the other areas from flooding, and we're going to keep it contained over there. Every culvert on Flomish, and I want the news that's here, you leave here tonight, and you take pictures of every culvert on Flomish. You can't even see them. That's 3 extra feet of water in a mile stretch that could have held and probably prevented some homes from being flooded. You know the size of the canal part of it is this big.
Danielle, just wrap it up.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. This will not end tonight. Roy, I've been here in these meetings when you were the mayor. We have brought up stuff for years. I just want to ask one question, and you don't have to answer it. How many of you, other than I know of one person, have come to any one of our neighborhoods to see if we needed food, water, help? How many? How many of you got flooded? How many of you have sewer in your house? Think about that.
Thank you, Danielle. Mary? Oh, I'm sorry, Mary, you're going to be next. She's coming up, yep. Hello, just state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Bilyana Mavrov. I live in 1545 Mobile Avenue, neighbor of Alison Fowle. She spoke earlier. We bought that house in 2011 with my husband, and we liked the city. It's beautiful, Holly Hill city. We never had a problem until Hurricane Ian, when we got flooded for the first time. At that time, we weren't at the house because we moved to Orlando for work. Thankfully, we didn't have to go through what everybody else went through. Still, we're still recovering. We still didn't fix the house. Despite that, we had flood insurance, which is going up every year. And all I ask is to do something about the drainage, because till 2009, for 8 years, we didn't have any problems. Yes, on the hard rain, we did have flooding in the backyard, but didn't come to the house. Now we do. We're in a corner of Rome Street and Mobile Avenue. There is seems like to me, I'm not sure if I'm right, but seems like to me there is a drainage that is totally clogged right now. All I ask is just take care of the drainage, that's all. Our plan is not to sell the house, but have it for retirement house. But how this is gonna happen if this keeps happening? We moved the homestead exam, our taxes have doubled. And we pay taxes, we're okay with that, but still, we wanna have a house for our retirement and not going through what other retired people here are going through. That's all.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
wonderful
Mary, you're next, and then, sir, you'll be next in the back with the blue shirt.
Mary Teresa Nichols, 1715 Aniston Avenue, Holly Hill. And I have a question. I don't know if any of you guys can answer this right out, but did anybody flood during this past storm? Any of you? Anybody get water in their house? Did anybody, I live next door to you, so you're exempt. But did anybody have their spouse come to them and say, put the towels, the towels aren't gonna work. It's coming in too fast. Did anybody have that experience at all? Because I did. And at 4:30 in the morning, when water is flowing into your house, it's pretty freaking scary. There's nothing you can do. Nothing. It's horrifying. And I have questions. When was the last time the culverts, the canals were dredged, cut back? I want to know, because I feel like it's been about 8 years is what I'm being told, and I really want an answer for the whole city. Like, when was that done last? Because they're a mess, and they're not being taken care of properly. We need to stop with the RV park and all of the things until we can fix all of this. And nobody cares about any of that right now. We are all losing everything. The minute the storm passed, I said to my husband, I want to move. I can't keep doing this. It takes so much work to prep your house for a storm. You know this. And we did not flood the way in Ian the way we did this past storm. It was 10 times worse at our house. My husband carried Danielle's mom through 4 or 5 feet of water in a wheelchair in a tourniquet during Hurricane Ian. I have pictures of it. It's terrible. We had people in our neighborhood this storm that had children and they were trapped in their homes for days. Nobody could flush their toilets. What is going on with the sewer system in this city? We pay money every month on our exorbitant water bills that we have. Why is this not fixed? We are living like in a third world country. This is terrible. We are living like we're camping every day. And I don't know how we can fix this, but we really need to, because I love it here. I know some of you for years and years. And I love my house, and I love this city, but it has really, really come down to, like, when you can't flush your toilet or take a shower in your own home, it's terrible. We really need to make some changes. And we have time, once this hurricane season is over, we need to have somebody come in and assess all of this stuff and take some action. And also, when was the last time we had tree trimming done? It hasn't been done in years. They used to come down and trim back trees and stuff. I would like to know when that was last done also. I just wish that you guys could please help us all with this. It's scary and it's frustrating. And when you have people trapped in your homes, and then we're fighting people driving down our street because they're flying and they're pushing water into our house, and it's taking days to get signs. We should have signs already. Why do we not have that? I just don't understand. We need to do better as a city.
Thank you, Mary. Did I call someone that? Yeah, you, sir, in the blue shirt. And then, would anybody else like to speak after him? We'll go with you, Dennis. You first put your hand up. Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Terry Dilbeck. I live at 726 Beach Street.
Can you pronounce that one more time? I'm sorry.
Terry Dilbeck.
Terry, all right.
Yes. Like the first gentleman that spoke here, I have a property on Carswell Avenue. And that property is flooded twice in the last 3 years, excuse me. The drainage system over there is just totally inoperative. The only people that can solve this problem are you people right here. You're the city officials. It's time to quit turning a blind eye to the problem that all these people out here have got. You know, this is their life. And it's time to do something about it. I own 5 commercial properties in the city of Holly Hill. I pay for stormwater runoff fee on all of them. I'm not getting any stormwater runoff. If we can afford to build a world-class pickleball complex, we have a third world drainage complex. And it's time to do something about it. You quit turning a blind eye to it and let's do something. Yeah, it's going to cost a little money, no question. So did the pickleball complex. So, gentlemen, we've got to do something about this, period. I mean, it's time to quit turning a blind eye to it and let's do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Dennis? And then who wanted to be next? Did you have? Yes, sir.
Dennis Smith, 107 7th Street. You all know I have a lot of experience in this. I've offered my services many times. I've had many meetings. I've even gone as far as done the research for you people. I give you products. You know what I get from your sewage treatment plant? We're not responsible. If the sewage comes out of our manhole, and I'm not talking flooding because I'm not here to beat up the flooding. People already beat that. I'm talking on a normal rain. Okay? I polled the people on the one street that I own properties on. One lady's 70 years old. She looks at the weather every morning, and she wants to know if she brings her tinkle bucket out. I ask her, what's your tinkle bucket? Well, when it rains, we can't flush our toilet. So I have my little tinkle bucket so I can go to the bathroom. Penny Curry, you drive down 8th Street all the time. I know you live up there. What do you think, that's a water fountain that comes out of that street every time it rains? The city made a nice water fountain? Nobody has done nothing. I've owned these properties for 5 years. I've been talking to everybody about this for 5 years. Okay, I've had meetings with the city. I have meetings with the sewage treatment plant. The people, I don't want to put them down, but they're incompetent. They shouldn't have their jobs. It's a third world country. That's what you guys got for a sewage system. Right now, there's an open sewer break during a storm, putting raw sewage into that river. Okay, it's 1,000 gallons, and it is a reportable offense to the EPA, to the DEP, to the health department. That's been running since the hurricane. The road's about to cave in down there. What are we going to do? We're going to wait until a car falls in it, and then Morgan & Morgan is going to put his name on the front of the city? We don't have contractors? I see you got in the thing. We got to approve to fix the sewer line. We don't have contractors on call? We don't have them on retainers? This is a major problem. Ditches behind my properties. I've dug them out myself. City officials been out there. They told me that they were cleaned. No, this is the guy that cleaned them. And the people that I've talked to, they know I take my equipment free of charge and I clean what I can clean. I can't go on other people's property. It's against the law. I talked to one of the bosses from the sewage treatment plant that I was out there trying to help solve the problem. He told me on his list that drain was cleaned. That drain hasn't been cleaned since I cleaned it. Now there's trees growing out. Unfortunately, I run a business and I can't maintain City of Holly Hills infrastructure for them for free. I have to make money to pay my taxes. Something has got to be done, and I think we need to start first firing the people that are in charge of that sewage treatment plant and get some competent people that know what they're doing. And it all comes down to incompetence. Everybody's riding past all this stuff for years, and nothing is being done. There is nobody accountable at all. Zero accountability. We spent, I think, $200,000 on a vac truck. There's not too many people that even know how to run the damn thing. It was like a circus act when they were in front of my house with the thing. It's ridiculous. That truck should be on the road every single day. Oh, but right, we don't have no employees. I think at the account we have 7 employees. How do you maintain all this stuff with 7 employees? Maybe you should raise a little taxes and pay a living wage, and you might get some employees that know how to do something. You got a police department. You don't have enough cops. This is why the streets weren't blocked off. There's probably about 3 cops on the street during a storm. Maybe they called them in on overtime. What are you going to get? 6, 7 cops. How are you blocking off all these streets? It is ridiculous. Something needs to be done. All I hear from city officials, oh, we should put money away. I know you've been in office a long time. I know you've been in office a long time. I know you've been in office a long time, and you're catching up to them. Even though it's your last term, you're catching up to them. And I know Roy's been around a long time, in and out. So your only people to blame is sitting right here in front of me. No money was put away. And you know, I don't want to beat up pickleball, but damn, we found a lot of money. And I know it didn't cost the city much, and I think it's a great thing for taking that field over. But we found grants to get them more room, and they got a small retention pond, which should have been a whole lot bigger. And, you know, it's just total incompetence. And accountability is the biggest thing. And when you got people that are offering their services for free, and then you got the head of the department saying that the sewage comes out of this manhole, floods your house, and they're not responsible for a dime. I think the legal Scott over there, he'll have something else to say if there's a class action lawsuit brought up against the city. Because I know as my business, if I put a chemical in somebody's yard, I'm responsible for it. I know the city's got a lot of immunities, but this is a perpetual problem over years that we can prove that time and time again, it's the same thing happening. It's not a 100-year storm. It's not a hurricane. It's every time we get a heavy rain. And like I said, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Yes, Mr. Legary. State your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Jim Legary, 342 Burley. I want to go on what the woman said about the storms in 2009. We have had a considerable amount of development since then. I think back about that time, Chris Hurst suggested that we figure a way to pipe the water west. The group at the time, John, do you remember that? The problem was it was going to cost money. What'd this cost? You figure? I think that plan should be examined because the little bit I know about this, there ain't no way we can run all this water this way from out west, and that seems to be what we're doing. I know I drove by Bishop's and saw all that water there and was pleased because I used to have a yard there, and it had a considerable amount of water. I thought when the RV park was approved, the thing was going to be a natural facility. I see one tree left. I think each and every tree consumes some 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Legary. Yes, sir. Just state your name and address for the record.
My name's Luke Armbruster, and I have 1400 Graham Avenue in Holly Hill. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just heard him say something about the RV park. I think he's talking about on Flomish there, and I've read in the paper, I was wondering if you guys could clarify it. It's supposed to be 40 homes for Habitat for Humanity is what I read in the paper. Is that true?
I haven't heard anything
Or
about
is it
Habitat.
still the RV park?
Yeah, I haven't heard of Habitat for Humanity, no.
Yeah, there was an article in the paper, it said west of LPGA, and that's the only place there on Flomish, so I was just wondering, maybe I'm mistaken, but I just wanted to ask, that's all really, but yeah, it's been bad.
Thank you, Lou. I skipped you earlier, so please come on up, sir.
Jeff Cahill, 918 Newcastle Court. I've been a Holly Hill resident for 23 years. My house has flooded 3 times, 2009, 2022, and 2024. Each time I've had anywhere from 7 to 12 inches of water on my house, 18 inches of water outside my house. This time, similar to what most people have said, I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning, got out of bed, and was wading through water and raw sewage. Each time my house is flooded, the first water intrusion has been through the sewers. The toilet bowls have overflowed. The tub and shower have overflowed, so not leaving anywhere to go because there's so much water outside. You can't open the doors. The only place you can go to the bathroom is in your bathtub. You can't flush the toilets because then the water continues to overflow. I don't want to beat a dead horse because everyone has pretty much covered what we're all trying to say. The retention ponds here are not working. The storm drains are not working. When the floodwaters receded from our drainage area, I had about 2 or 3 inches thick of just dead fish there. And then I had rotten, rancid fish stinking up the block. I haven't seen anyone from the city come down Newcastle Court to either clean the drains. It's been me and my neighbors doing all the cleaning. Our neighbors had to block off the street because UPS, Amazon, and FedEx would just barrel down the street pushing more water into other people's houses. My question for everyone here is, FEMA has the ability to donate money or give money to the city to buy out people's houses, and I'm wondering, has anything been pursued towards that? Because several people on our block, Newcastle, are just in complete disgust with the last 15 years of flooding. And the issue isn't so much that we have to be in fear of hurricanes, it's anytime it rains for more than 15 or 20 minutes, the storm drain backs up, and when the storm drain backs up, it starts filling up our entire cul-de-sac. So there's 3 or 4 of us that have to worry, should we start putting our clothes in bins, should we be putting everything on our beds, or should we just evacuate? My neighbor evacuated because she didn't know what to do. So if there's a way you guys could find that out, email us or just put that out for public information, how FEMA can help the city of Holly Hill do better, because there are people that are willing to sell their house because they just don't want to deal with this anymore. This is insane. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cagle. Yes, sir. Oh, you came up before. You can't, what's that? We can speak afterwards. In the red shirt right here in the second row? Yes. I apologize, but if we allowed everybody twice, we'd be here till 2 a.m.
Hi, my name is Kippy Dobbins. I live at 775 Magnolia Avenue. 66 years in a family home. Never flooded until Ian and Milton. Never had this problem, ever. And I'd like to show you a picture of my home this past hurricane.
That's Magnolia.
Yes. And that's all I have to say. I just wish you guys would get something done with the drains and sewage.
Thank you very much. We hear you. Yes, in the orange shirt. Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Blake Hollis. I live at 3586 Sugar Plum Lane in Port Orange, Florida. I'm a tenant of Mr. Dilbeck's. He spoke earlier over on 801 Carswell Avenue. I've been a tenant of his for over 13 years, and I've been in this area since I was 19. I grew up in Polk County, third generation Floridian, but here in the Volusia County area since I was 19. Everyone has spoken about the flooding and the drainage concerns due to development of all these different areas. I do have some general questions. I know you said that you're not going to be able to answer most questions, but I think these will be beneficial to most of the people in the audience. Does the city of Holly Hill have a formal hurricane preparedness plan? Yes?
Yes, and we're not addressing them now, but we will afterwards. We're going to address
Understood.
everything we can.
Does anybody on city council have training according to the National Incident Management System? Okay. So for the audience, what these basic things entail is their strategies for mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. These are basic FEMA principles for any kind of major outbreak, storm preparedness, hurricane, any type of incident that you may have. National Incident Management System is a series of guidelines that allow first responders in any type of incident to respond in the same way, regardless of location and type of incident. So these are very critical things. I'm sure many of you guys were aware we didn't see much of a response here. We didn't see much mitigation, preparedness, and certainly not any kind of recovery. The last two items I'd like to leave you with too. Embry-Riddle has an emergency management program at the school. It's a 4-year degree. There are students there that are in constant need of internships, jobs, that are fairly inexpensive, and they have more training than you can possibly imagine. Same thing with Stetson. Stetson has a program for water management. And I don't think we're utilizing either of those two local resources.
Thank you, Mr. Hollis. And did I call on someone right after him? Here, Mr. Varga, you come on up. Yep. Was there anyone else that was wanting to talk after Mr. Varga? Okay, you'll be next in the back in the white shirt. Okay. All right, Mr. Varga, your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Gabriel Varga. I'm the pastor of the Ridgewood Avenue Baptist Church and the Daytona Rescue Mission, located at 501 Ridgewood Avenue, Holly Hill. I made a request to Mr. Forte shortly after the hurricane to put the flooding on the agenda of the commission meeting. He's the one that's empowered to do that. He didn't answer me back. I asked him again. He didn't answer me again. I got a hold of the mayor, tried to email them, public record. If you want to get a hold of him, put it on an email, because you got a record of it then. He wouldn't answer, neither of them would answer, and here we are. It isn't even an agenda item. Can you imagine? With all of this mess, and the place is full, and they don't even have it on the agenda. The problem is here. Penny, number one. Him and Forte are real close.
Mr. Varga, just direct your comments towards me. Beat me up. Leave them
No,
out.
listen, everybody
Please.
else can walk around. Now, I gotta look at you.
Thank you. Go
Fly
ahead.
a kite. You
Go
know,
ahead.
see, the problem with you is.
Go ahead,
You got
sir.
different rules for different people.
Mr. Varga.
You're gonna handle a preacher different.
No.
Everyone else can walk around and come
Mr.
up
Varga,
there.
you can say whatever you would like. I welcome it.
So I
Thank
gotta
you.
look in your eyes.
You don't have to
Everyone
look in
else
my
can
eyes.
turn around. Everyone else can go. You should be able to talk to the people. Sure you should.
You can talk to the people, but we have to record you, Mr. Varga. This is a public record. Just speak into the microphone.
All right.
Direct it towards me. They can't
Don't
respond.
take my time up. Be quiet.
I'll give you an extra
So
10
he's-
seconds at the end,
so-
Mr. Varga.
These are the problems. 25 years of it. Yeah, you too. You give me the fish eye if you want, Mr. Attorney. Attorneys don't.
Mr. Varga, please, bring it to order.
Listen, they're the problem. Forte, the city manager, Roy, they all been here 25 years. This guy, all of them. There's your problem. You know, they won't even talk to me anymore. He was my commissioner. This is third time he's going to be the mayor. Third time. 25 year and 8 years more to go as mayor. That's what these guys are. This is a sad thing, you know. But here they are. You see, they're trying to forget about the sex perverts, police chief, and captain, and the people they wouldn't prosecute. I'll just bring this up for your well-being. Mr. Chitwood, my friend, a good friend of mine, brought all the evidence for them to prosecute these wicked, perverted police chief and captain and others. They haven't done it. They won't do it. They still can. We're the shame of Volusia County, the shame of Florida, with this sex perversion still on us, and they're still in the police department. They want to, see, they don't like me bringing it up again. They want to forget about it. This flooding has been a problem for 25 years. They've done nothing about it. Finally, when these poor people, God bless you, what is heart-wrenching to hear the stories here. Raw sewage and up to their ankles in it, and so on and so forth. And the problem is, it's been going on for a long time. They're for special interests. They're for Pictona. They're for pickleball. They're for Mr. Robin Hangar, the insider. Yeah, he works on
Direct
the
it
planning
towards me.
commission.
Do not attack people in the audience,
Yeah,
Mr. Varga. I'm not going to warn you again.
Listen to me,
Thank
I
you.
can talk. This is a free speech. I can say what I
You
want
can
to say.
say whatever you would like.
I'll
I
tell
would-
you what happened.
Go
I
ahead.
can talk. Just be quiet. Let me
Go
talk.
ahead.
You're taking my time.
Go ahead.
Mr. Hangar, I sent him a picture of the lake on Flomish Avenue. Some of these people live on Flomish Avenue over there. It's terrible. He sent me back a text. He says, thanks for the pictures, but the city of Holly Hill has made a new law that we can raise the ground 5 feet and the water will run off. It'll run off to the neighbor's house. It's a swamp over there. My best friend,
5
my
seconds.
best friend across the street, Pastor Pruitt, he couldn't build there for years. Now they can build their Pictona RV park because you guys have changed the law.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what you've done.
Thank
And
you,
so
Mr.
he
Varga.
could sell his
I gave you 10
worthless-
extra
He could
seconds.
sell his worthless flood property
Thank
for
you.
a big profit.
All right. Thank you very much for your
So-
input, Mr. Varga.
These guys are your problems.
Thank you very much. All right.
Hold them all off.
Did I call someone right after him? Yes, in the back, in the white shirt. Yes, sir. Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Good evening. Joe Jacobson, 839 Carswell. Been a resident there, my business for about 25 years. I'm a cross-connection control inspector from the University of Florida, and I have some other things that may not have been taken into consideration. Similar to reclaimed water, what we have are biohazards, and we've all recognized that this evening. But what we have is maybe unknown, are the cross connections and contamination between potable water, that's your drinking water, and a pollutant and a contaminant. Once that's introduced in a water system, you've shut down the entire city's potable water. Gone to a restaurant, we don't have ice machines, but we have soda available. Well, where's the soda coming from? Okay, so we're beyond just sewage. If you didn't get flooded, you might be drinking poop across town. So that's something that you guys might want to consider. What's the current state of the cross-connection control program in this city? I saw backflow after backflow device underwater, direct contact with pollutants and contaminants. There's your entry point. Doesn't have to be a broken pipe. Just has to be a submerged backflow device. Who pays for the sewage cleanup? If it enters your private property, do you have to clean it up? Or is that a Department of Professional, or is that a Department of Regulation? The Health Department. Who decides who cleans that up? And who meets the minimum standard for cleanliness? Who decides that it's clean enough? Is it you with the trash can who's picking up poop and toilet paper? I don't know. There is a property on the corner of 10th Street and the railroad tracks that is currently for sale and has been for quite some time. As in reclaimed water, when you flush the toilet, you get it back in 72 hours. They have to clean that water within 75% of potable or drinkable. That water is stored in storage tanks. Some of them are elevated at 150 feet, and that's what gives you the pressure at the bottom to supply your homes with water. There are other storage tanks that could be elevated for sewage water or for drainage water. So the drainage water could be pumped to the top of the tank. When the water has receded, it could be slowly released. The other, on that property that I had mentioned, you could have million-gallon tanks, and the city of Ormond Beach has them. And you could pump your drainage water into those holding tanks. If it's too expensive to make a giant lake like we have behind the sewage treatment plant, make tanks. Tanks are a great solution. You can hold about $1 million or 1 million gallons per tank. I offer my volunteer to participate in a workshop. This is a great venue, and it's wonderful that you would take the comments from the residents. But I think maybe the solution, or might help us a little bit, is have a workshop.
Yeah.
That we already know the concerns. Let's come up with the solutions for the concerns. Because we all have the concerns, but I haven't heard any solutions to it yet. And I think that's kind of where we've gone awry. Holly Hill's answer to flooding. 10 sandbags, and you got to fill them up yourself.
Right.
That's the solution. That's what I was told.
If you get them.
If you can get them. If we have 7 to 10 days in some cases when we know the storm's on its way. Why aren't there pallets of that stuff pre-filled for the residents of Holly Hill? 10 bags didn't cross the foot of my door at my shop. I came up 5 short, or I went to get the other ones out the prison. 10 bags covers nothing. You can't mount them 2 stacks high. It just feels good. I got a truckload of sandbags. I'm safe. No, it doesn't work like that. What's the holdup? Is it the money or the ideas? Follow the money. I say follow the money, and you'll find a problem. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacobson. Yes, ma'am. In the blue, yep. And after this lady, is there anyone else who would like to speak? You spoke, Kyle. No, you cannot come up 2 times, Kyle. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Laura Bradshaw.
right.
I'm at 340 Sunset Avenue. We bought our house about 6 months before Ian. We were told it's never flooded. We lost almost everything. So we rebuilt because that was a once-in-a-lifetime, 100-year storm. So this time, we were prepared. Hitting the West Coast, we were good. We had a generator, we lifted our furniture on cinder blocks. That didn't mean anything. We flooded worse this time.
Which road was that again? I'm sorry.
We're on Sunset Avenue.
Sunset.
It's right off of 3rd.
Yep.
There was an empty lot across the street from us. It sold to a man from up north. He was given permits to build. For years, no one could build on that lot. But he was given permits. So they brought in truckload after truckload of dirt. And they leveled the whole area, and then they built like the square lifted area where he's going to put his shop. So after the storm, he came down from up north, saw on his cameras that he flooded, and said he was going to put more dirt in because he flooded. We're not good neighbors anymore because I cannot lose anything else. We're too old. My husband's a disabled firefighter. We can't start over again, and I can't do this every 2 years. My dad lives with us. He's 88. I cannot do this again. We have called after Ian, Volusia County and Holly Hill over and over and over to clean that ditch canal behind us. It's so overgrown. No one wants to answer. No one wants to take responsibility. After this storm and after the permit thing, my husband came to the city hall to talk to the permit guy. He's called him twice a day, left messages, crickets. I have him call because he's nicer than I am. This man can't be allowed to keep putting and build up and build up. The people beside him have never flooded until they gave this man permits to bring in all this dirt. They are way older than we are. He just had a stroke. They can't do it either. They've lived there for 50 years, and there's no way that you people should expect any of us to start over with nothing. Not this time in our lives. We just can't do it anymore. My solution, because I come with a solution besides my problem, pull these permits for now. Even if, until an inspector that has common sense, that can do one of those laser thingies on the ground and says, well, you built 4 feet higher than your people than your neighbors across the street. You're going to flood them. So you can't do this on this piece of property. It's common sense. I can stand on the road and see he's higher. And when it rains, where's it going to go? The lady at the city even asked my husband, well, as you're watching them build on this property, did they make concessions for the drainage? Yeah, our property, our neighbor's property, they're leaving. They're just leaving. It's not fair, and we need some help. We came down to Florida and we bought this house because this was going to be our forever house. And our immediate first reaction is, we're going back up north. I do not want to, because I like Florida. I like where we're at. Used to like my house, but I don't, because it's kind of crappy right now, and I'm tired of cleaning. I feel like that's all I've been doing for 2 years is cleaning. And then in my head, all I can think of, 11 more months until the next hurricane comes. And I don't want to do that again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, sir. You good? All right. Just state your name.
Robert Hanger. I own property at 950 Ridgewood Avenue, 930 Ridgewood Avenue. I have 2 houses on State Avenue. I like my house. I built it 2 years ago. I did build it to code. One thing I'd like is some kind of a clarification of what we can do to stop the idiots from driving up and down flooded streets that continue to create waves in the houses. My house did not flood. I was about an inch away from flooding, but I was asked to move blockades that I had in front of my street, and as soon as I did, 3 houses on my street flooded because of the idiots going up and down the street. There needs to be some kind of ruling that somebody can do to either allow us to block our streets to help you, to help us, those that have the resources to be able to do that. Let us help you. I'm not there to create a problem or more work for anyone, but we've got to stop these people from driving up and down these flooded roads all over our city. I was asked if I'd build another house. I love Holly Hill. Yes, I would build another house on State Avenue. I would build it to the codes and do the right things that you have to do. But we've got to stop these people from going up and down these streets. That's creating more of a problem until we get the other problem fixed, if it can be fixed. These storms are going to get worse. We're going to have more of them. Yes, 11, 12 months, there's going to probably be another one, but we got to do something about that. And I really don't need to say anything about this, but I will clarify for some of the people in the audience, I have nothing to do with the RV park. I sold it. It is under construction. They are building a 10-acre lake that will help. It won't eliminate, but it will help. And it should, I'm not an engineer, but it should take care of their problem just like it does everywhere else they build that retains their water on their site. It flooded this time like that because it is under construction. It's a low-lying area that's under construction. So, you know, when people start pointing fingers and calling my name, they need to look into paperwork and see who owns stuff and who does things, you know, rather than just running off at their mouth like this man back behind me here. And if we need infrastructure money, Chris, you fought and fought and fought the whole time you've been here not to raise taxes. We need tax money. You know, everybody here, they can't afford, people can't afford to pay taxes unnecessarily. But this is money that Joe needs and the commission needs to fix these things. So we need money somewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Hanger. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Charlotte Baumgart. I live at 917 Newcastle Court. And I had to respond to the prior comment about the lake. I bought my house about 11 years ago. Never had a flood until Ian. Guess what happened? When I first moved there, there was no lake. Mirage hadn't built a lake. We had a nice big field. The water would soak it up. Now we have a lake behind us, and we flooded twice, and flooded big time twice. So and it seems to be a conception around here that a lake, a retention pond makes it better. My experience has been the complete opposite. Has there been an impact study or a civil engineer or someone that studies this to say that the retention ponds do better? I mean, I'd love to see the impact of that because my experience, when I bought my house, I was not on a floodplain. We did not need flood insurance. Thank God we bought it and kept it up. Now we're in a flood zone. And the difference to me has been that lake that Mirage built, that retention pond. That's what's been the difference. So please, before you do that, get a study done, get a good civil engineer or whoever you use as your expert to determine the impact on the surrounding neighborhoods. Okay, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, you have your hand up. Yes, come on up. Welcome. Just state your name for the record.
My name is Ed Philly. I live at 900 Newcastle Court. This is my fiance.
Yes. My name is Ellen Borger, 900 Newcastle Court, Holly Hill. These are my lovely neighbors over here. Fortunately, I'm on the corner, as you know. We didn't get it as bad as my neighbors did. But still, it's all the emotional, it's all emotional. It's just a lot of, we did our preparation for it. We wrapped the house, we put the hurricane shutters up. We put plastic around it. It looked like a Christmas present. We did what we could to keep the water out of the house, and it did help. But some water, came into my back room, my porch. I do have to have some drywall replaced. But the fact is nothing's getting done. This is the third time that this has happened to us. And it's just the emotional effect of it all. We do the prep. You see the water coming in, you see the water rising, and you can't do anything. We had utility pumps, the water wasn't going down, and the people driving up and down the street, it takes its toll on you. I mean, honestly, I don't want to live in my house. I'm not going to be able to sell it. Where am I going to go? My house is paid off. Where am I going to go? I'm stuck there. I'm literally stuck. I can't do anything. And it would be great, I'm all for it, if FEMA came in or something was done where our houses were demolished, we'd get, market value for our houses and, just demolish the homes and we can find, something elsewhere. Basically our street is a retention pond. And it's going to continue to flood. It's going to continue and continue and continue. The storms that come through are more frequent. They're more fierce. The night of the hurricane, I didn't sleep. Okay, I sat on my porch because we had plastic wrapped around it, and we had the plastic through our screen door. And I was holding the plastic taut so that the wind wouldn't rip it. But I sat there on my porch during the storm trying to save what we have. And again, we were very lucky, but maybe the next time we won't be that lucky. It's just a matter of time before we're all underwater. And the city needs to, put a task force together, a task team, and, start thinking, brainstorming, what are we going to do, for our community? Something has to be done. We can't keep living like this. We're not spring chickens, We work hard, we do all the prep, we do what we can, we do our due diligence. And the next storm, we may not be so lucky. If we were in the direct path, forget it. All these people, we'd have nothing. So a task force needs to be put together, and they need to brainstorm what we're going to do to help these people in our community. Maybe it's funny, I never even knew we had a drain. I never knew it. It was at the end of the cul-de-sac. But I never go down that way, but, we need something.
Thank you.
All right, I just would like to say, the city didn't have a plan.
And hold on one second. So we're going to treat this as a separate speaker because you haven't spoke. So Val, if you could reset. Thank you.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So the city didn't have a plan for this. We needed to lower the retention ponds. That didn't happen. We needed to have sandbags more available. It didn't happen till the last minute. There are a lot of things that could have been changed. One of the things I wanted to address when I was sitting over there was the guys going down the block speeding. We had one guy come down our block so fast that the rooster tails, whatever you want to call it, water coming off his tires was high enough to hit these fans. In fact, after he went by, you could see all the water running off the trees. I believe the chief of police was at the end of the block and caught him because he witnessed it.
He gave a ticket.
There's no ticket. There's no statute for that. We have to come up with a statute, maybe under a city ordinance, that in a state of emergency, that when you're causing damage to other people's property, that we can do something. But yeah, there is no statute in the books for throwing water on people's houses. I know I was a cop, but we also, the availability to street signs or something saying the road was closed was a major problem. I heard my neighbors out there all day long, even in the middle of the night, yelling at people to slow down. It was just like, I was like, I can't take it no more. But anyway, we've all gone through a lot here. I'm thankful that I have really good neighbors because they all pulled together and looked out for each other. That's very important. And I'm sure on the other blocks there, all your neighbors pulled it together. But we need to come up with a plan. There needs to be something about what to do, what kind of actions we could take. I realize you don't have police for every corner, but we saw nobody. We saw no cops until it got bad. Anyway.
Mary and Danielle were calling,
Yeah.
trying to get somebody to come, 911. And again, like everybody else, we couldn't even use our toilets to take a shower.
Yeah.
That was
Here we are,
rough.
like doing all our prep, we're soaking wet, and we can't even take a shower.
All right, I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Please do something.
Thank you. We are, and we will address that right after public comments. Yes, ma'am. All right, is there anyone left that hasn't spoken yet? Just raise it. Yes, ma'am. After that, is there anyone else that hasn't spoken here tonight that would like to speak about anything not on our regular agenda? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Julia Williams, 1439 Center Avenue, and I am here again tonight to address my concerns that in front of my house, I do have a drainage ditch, and it's poorly maintained. I've come here every time, and every time I've came here, you shoo me over to the city manager. The city manager comes out, look at the area, or look at the issue, and that's the extent of it. Not even as much as a courtesy call back to say, hey, Ms. Williams, we came out, we looked at it. Nothing. I've heard nothing since the last time I've been here. The sidewalk in front of my house that I use to enter and exit my home is cracking. City manager came out the next morning, looked at it, have not heard anything about my issue. The ditch, it flows over. Every time there is a storm, it flows over, and it is continuously eating away at my property. So something has to be done.
Is that Florence, you said?
No, it's 1439 Center Avenue, and I was just here 2 meetings ago. And hopefully with everyone in this audience tonight, my concerns is the same as everyone else out here, and hopefully it will not go on deaf ears this time. It should not be this complicated to figure out who's responsible for what in Holly Hill. It is getting ridiculous. Definitely not the city that I came to. So just, I need some type of feedback. I need somebody to be concerned, take notice of what I'm saying, and address the issue. Even if it's a call, do that. I'm deserving of that. This is where I live. This is where I've lived for years. This is where I pay my taxes, and you treat me like a second-class citizen. And it's not designed to be that way. It's as if Holly Hill is more concerned with the new construction or bringing in businesses as opposed to addressing the concerns of the citizens. And that's not what it's intended to be. So I would like a feedback, a call, or something, and I would like my concerns addressed. Because I've been here prior to this meeting with the same concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williamson. I'm sorry those weren't addressed prior. We'll make sure they are. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak about anything not on our regular agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, I will close. You would like to? Yeah. You could just come on up. Wait to speak, though. Just give your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Ron Hillman, 1497 Graham Avenue. I just want to reinforce what my neighbors have said with this sewage issue has only gotten worse over the years. I've been here in this town for 10 years, and it's just gotten worse and worse. We're tracking the sewage into our house. We don't know what kind of diseases and germs we're bringing in, and nobody is going to help us. We're on a sewage infrastructure that's over 50 years old, and you keep building on it. The building has to stop. Put a halt on all this building until we can get this infrastructure fixed, and then go from there. But in the meantime, we need this infrastructure fixed. I have sewage in my backyard, I have sewage in my front yard, I have sewage all over my property, and they came down with a power washer and lime, and they said this problem's fixed. Not fixed. Fix the infrastructure that's causing the problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, is there anybody else here that wants to speak in public comments about anything not on our agenda? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close public comments. And I was trying to take copious notes throughout everybody speaking and try to get to the heart of what each speaker is talking about. And so there's several things that I want to address if this commission will allow me to. It's a little bit out of order to address, and then I'll allow the city commission as well as Mr. Forte, if you were keeping track of any questions that you can fill in as well for answers, because look, the reason you're here is you want answers and you deserve answers. And let me just start by saying that I understand exactly how you all are feeling. I have half my neighborhood here tonight. And the question was asked, did you flood? Yes, for the first time and forever, just like you. It's never come up that high. It was higher than Ian. So we understand what people are going through. Now, a lot of people have it a lot worse than me. A lot of people. And I've been speaking to dozens and dozens of people. I have been out in the neighborhoods. I have cried with people. I have helped with people. I can't tell you the amount of emails, calls, texts. And so, is there a problem? There's a problem. If there's this many people in the room and many more that probably can't show up, that means there's a problem. There's a problem with flooding. Now, what are the solutions? Okay? So, I heard a lot of words thrown around tonight. A lot that I agreed with. Someone said unacceptable. I agree with you. Absolutely unacceptable. I heard that no one cares. I disagree with that. I couldn't care any more than I do. I take this job so seriously every single day. And if you ask the staff how hard I push them and ask questions on behalf of you all and try to get results, I do it on a daily basis. And I know each one of our city commissioners has done the same. We don't do this for any type of money. Frankly, my paycheck's $49.77. I say I get insurance and a tank of gas to come and do this. I do this because I love this city. I do this because I love people. I love creating solutions. Now, granted, I have a month left or less now in office, but every single day that I have been in office, I have tried to let the people know that I am listening and I will try to do this. And I can say for the city commission that they do the same thing. They make less money than me. Some of the commissioners don't even get a paycheck. So when it comes to no one cares, we care. It's just we do not have a magic wand to wave. And I'm not able to sit here and tell you that tomorrow and next month, even by next hurricane season, that everything is going to be fixed. I'm not going to tell you that. As many people want to hear that, that's just not the reality. But I will give you some realities. I've heard people say that the city is doing nothing, and that is patently false. Every year, we are allocating millions of dollars to fix project by project. In the last two years alone, over $2.6 million for individual projects, and that's not counting all of the extra operational costs that go into it. It's not counting the $21 million that we just received in a grant to rebuild our waste department and water department there to be able to handle more into the system. Now, we could talk all the problems. We know a lot of problems. One of the problems is when we look at 2 million gallons per day going through our system, and when these storms have come through to handle 6 million gallons to the system. A lot of you are asking, why is it bubbling up? Well, that's number one. And then in certain areas, like the Smiths and down on Graham, those are two problem areas that are different with the sewage system that has to get taken care of, has to be fixed. There's no other way about it. And I know that staff is actively looking into ways to do that. Dennis, I know you've been in contact with me and with the city manager offering your services, and we want to bring that. We want to bring all ideas to the table. No ideas are bad ideas. But I want people to know that we have been looking into this for years. And I want people to know that it's not that for a lack of trying that we're here. Now, moving to another point, I hear overdevelopment, stop building, stop building. The News Journal just came out from the census, and out of all of the Volusia Flagler cities, Holly Hill was the lowest on the growth, under 1% growth since 2020. We don't have massive building happening. There has been certain projects here or there that have come along, but it's not massive building. Like 18% in Daytona Beach, all throughout the county. And so my questions are, one thing that we know is when our ponds fill up, where do they go to? They go to canals. Someone mentioned, whose are the canals? Are they counties or are they cities? And some of them are cities, some of them are counties. The county ones, they're supposed to maintain. LPGA, for instance, which is connected to the Nova Canal. Many people don't know that Nova Canal was built in the early 1900s for farms that were along there and hasn't been upgraded much since that time. That filters into 3 outfalls. One of them in the middle of our city, which is the LPGA Canal, which brings most of our stormwater out. So when there's a retention pond and it gets to the point of overflowing, it goes into the canals and it filters to that. When the river backs up and overflows its banks like it has been, that LPGA canal is not moving out. So what's happening? All of that water is sitting there. Now, this is just facts. This is what is happening. And my heart goes out to the people that because of this, there's water sitting in people's homes. But I tell you this because this is the problem we are facing. What are the solutions now? Hundreds of millions of dollars. I heard tonight, Mr. Hanger, you said, I've always fought for lower taxes. I'm proud of my record to do that. And I understand that you want to raise your taxes, but I don't want to raise my taxes, and a lot of people agree with me on that. What we have done is gone after state appropriations and grants to get this fixed, because we're not just going to be able to do it with that. Another person talked about Pictona. How can we spend the money on Pictona? 2 different funds. We cannot use CRA funds at all for the sewage system throughout the city. We just cannot do it. It is legally not possible. So I just want to address some of these things because I understand before I was on this commission, I didn't understand the difference of these budgets. And I just want to tell you, it is not for a lack of trying. I can tell you the staff is actively looking at this. Some things that are already in place. Through the Florida League of Mayors, we have a comprehensive study for throughout the city that is going to look at everywhere there's a problem. And they have engineers to tell us what project could be done and at how many dollars and cents it's going to take and at what level it's going to reduce the water. When we have that, we are able then to get state and federal funding for those projects. That's already in process. Number two, the Nova Canal. Someone said here, I believe it was one of the first persons, Mr. Singler, and I think he left, talked about the Nova Canal and how it empties into where we are. All of these other cities' water are coming into this. I've asked the city manager to look into and have an engineer tell us, is all the building to the west of us in the county in Daytona Beach, where is that water going when their ponds fill up? I would venture to guess that it's going into our LPGA canal. For the second time in our history that I'm aware of from staff, LPGA overfilled its banks and filled up LPGA. So is there a problem? There's a major problem. And the solution is going to be hard, and it's going to be long, and we all have to be dedicated to doing it, to moving this forward. Now, I'm only here in this chair for a few more weeks, and our new city commission takes over. But I'm not leaving. I will be sitting where all of you are. I will talk with our congressmen. I will talk to our state reps. I will talk to our county representatives, and I will try to help move that ball forward. And it's going to take all of us. Someone asked if we're going to have a workshop. We're having a workshop on this to talk more about all of the status updates for all of the wastewater and stormwater system of what the upgrades are, where they're coming, how much is coming. So, and I welcome you all to that. That'll be, I think it's October 30th next, so not tomorrow, but the next Wednesday. And you can all come and hear that. So those are just some of them, and I know you may have more questions, and probably half of this room has my cell phone number and has texted me or called me, and I welcome it. Ask my wife, in the middle of dinner, I'll take your phone call. I'll take your phone call. I always tell people we might not always agree, but I'll always listen. So please call me. Each one of our commissioners has their cell phone number online, and they have their on our city's website, and their email as well. And I know that they will reach out to you as well and try to get your questions answered. The point is that we all are Holly Hill citizens. We understand. We're going through it too. We live on the same roads as you. And we are going to continue to try to make sure that we can fix this, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's overnight. It's just not. That's the cold hard truth. But with that, Mr. Forte, or do you want to go to the commission? Do you guys have anything to say? Or?
I just have one thing.
Let's go to Mr. Forte first, and then I'm going to come around to the commission.
Mayor, I don't want to dive into each one of the questions that came up. There were a lot of questions that came up. There's some responses to them. There's really no answers to them. The city staff and I know what the problems are. We're working toward trying to find solutions to the problems. It's frustrating to me and my staff as problem solvers to not be able to solve these problems. You know, we can talk about the ditches and the canals, and, you know, I've got plans in the works to try to address that with the assistance of the county. If they help us, wonderful. If they don't, we're in trouble. You know, we've put a couple of projects forward that were denied by the county because they don't think that the return on investment is worth the project. So, you know, we're going to take, I kept notes on absolutely everyone that came up here and spoke. We're going to try to address some of those concerns. We're going to work on continuing our stormwater plans that we have in place. We're going to continue with the studies that we are engaged with, try to get solutions to that. And like we said, and you said earlier, this is not a broken pipe down the road that I can fix in a month. This is a system-wide problem that needs a system-wide solution. And we are working on it, and we are trying to find solutions to it. It's going to take a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Vice Mayor?
Well, like you and the city manager have both said, that these are big problems, and we're not going to have any answers tonight. But there was one comment that was made that I think is a simple answer, and it needs to end tonight with the answer and with the truth. And the comment that was made that the city of Holly Hill has done nothing with the police sexual scandal, that we should charge these people. And it's been investigated. It was investigated by the sheriff. Yes, it was. The findings were turned over to the state attorney. The state attorney turned it over to a grand jury. The grand jury said, there's no findings, no charges. We have nothing to do with that.
You do too.
All right, that's enough from the audience, Mr. Varga. Thank you.
And so, for people to continue to spew outright lies, and then to watch those same people, to watch their sermons online, because I get at least 4 or 5 emails a day, and to watch a minister stand in front of his congregation, and when someone blurts out, like he just blurted out to me, "Shut up, John. Shut your big fat mouth, John. I'm the preacher here, John. It's my time to talk, not your time to, John. You say one more thing, I'm going to bounce your fat butt out of my church." Yeah, that's real Christian-like. And then to come and spew lies and misinformation in public.
You don't even have a church. You don't even go to church.
That's the only thing we can solve tonight, but obviously, we won't solve that problem either.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, Commissioner Curry?
Thank you. I would first like to say, I have heard you. I think this entire commission has heard you. We have the workshop on stormwater that the mayor spoke about. It's at 4 p.m. on the 30th, so you know. So please come out. We do need to find solutions to these problems. Is it going to be long-term, like everyone said? Yes, but we can begin quickly to start solving these issues. I have heard you, and I promise you, and I don't promise very often in political stuff, but I promise you, my last 2 years in office, I will diligently work on this one issue. Nothing else is really going to matter to me because now I know how serious it is from the last storm. And I will promise you that I will be working on this for you the entire 2 years that I have left. And like the mayor said, probably after that, because I'm a bit of a big mouth, so if I'm out in the audience, I can be a little louder. So I promise you, I'm here. I am here to help find solutions. Please believe that. So please come out to that workshop. I was going to say something about it, but you kind of stole my thunder, but I'm still going to go because I'm tired of people coming in here lying, and it's not people, it's a person. Listen, my career was in law enforcement. Our hands are tied. Once the grand jury says no charges, that's it.
I know.
Nobody can say anything about that. If you...
Mr. Varga, please, she listened to you while you spoke.
If you were to have a charge brought against you, it went before the grand jury decides there's actually no charges, there's no case there.
Mr. Varga, this is your first warning. Please
Then there's
stop blurting
nothing
out.
we can do. We have done what we can do. We hired a new police chief who has emergency management training. We have hired a new captain. We have promoted new sergeants. The department is moving forward. We're not looking back.
Mr. Varga.
We're not
please.
looking back.
Hold on. Mr. Varga, please, would you stop blurting out? Excuse me, we gave you 5 minutes, Mr. Varga. You don't. All right, let's come to order. Just give me a second here, Commissioner. Listen, we have to conduct ourselves here. We're conducting city business. Sir, please, we can get through this a lot faster if you would just listen to what she has to say. She listened to you without yelling out liar or whatever you just said. Please give her that respect. Thank you. Commissioner.
I'm just going to finish by saying I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and voicing your concerns with us, letting us know what you're thinking. I appreciate you coming out. And like I said, I'm here. And my number is on the city website, my email address. I'm District 2, But I'm more than willing to talk to anybody in this city, and anybody that's ever called me will tell you that, because they've been from other districts, and I let them know who their district person is, but I then try to handle their problem. So call me, email me, I'm here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Daniel.
No comment.
All right, Commissioner Johnson.
I'll try to keep it short because we still have a commission meeting.
Yes.
But back in 1980, I remember very well, and I remember back a lot further than that because I'm old. I'm probably the oldest person in this whole row. But in 1980, the St. John's Water Management Commission or city or whatever they are, their group comes together, and they decided that every bit of water on any commercial property, any runoff, has to have a big enough retention pond to retain all of that water. Now, where is that? Why is that water not being contained on commercial property? The apartment buildings that they're building on LPGA, they're commercial property. They're residents, but they're commercial property. They have to have a retention pond big enough to do it. But it is a problem with the canals, and it's a problem with the tide. When the tide comes in, no matter how much water you put in the river, it's like pumping water through the chain link fence to your neighbors. It's going to come back in, It's that, but I feel really, really, really bad for the people, because I've seen the damage that water can do. For 55 years, I've done everything that I could in my expertise to help people with electricity. I know very little about water. I couldn't even been in the Navy. I was in the Air Force. I like to stay away from water because I know water is one of the most damaging things there is besides fire. But that's what it amounts to. I really can't see why that we can't get help from a St. John's Water Management to help us control or maybe fix some of these problems or something. Because I remember when I first built my property on Nova Road, that is now a great sports facility. When I built it in 1980, I was one of the first ones, and it was county, and I had to deal with the land of water retention. You had every bit of water that was generated from your commercial property had to be retained on your commercial property. Simple as that, So I think it's something we could at least look into, if we do have a workshop, or how we can do it to make them help out with it as well, And another thing is too, we have one individual says that none of us won't communicate with him. There's absolutely no way that I could say, I used to communicate with him a lot, talk to him and all, but the last time I talked to him on the phone, there's absolutely no way that I could explain to you how bad that conversation was from one side of the point. When he saw that I wasn't going to agree with him, I wasn't going to jump on the hate wagon against John Penny and Joe Forte. It's just unbelievable. And the chemo doctor says that it could be fatal to me to have my blood pressure raised that much. So I just decided the best thing to do is not communicate. Simple as that, I mean, that people call themselves a pastor, and they treat people like that. It's unreal.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I appreciate it. So I just want everyone to walk away here knowing that you have been heard. We are listening to you.
Absolutely.
I do not have solutions for you here this evening. I welcome you all to the upcoming workshop as well to hear this. I know we've been speaking about FEMA issues and looking into that through the voluntary buy-up program. We'll continue to look into that. I've reached out to Congressman Michael Waltz for some clarification there. So I just want everyone to know we're hearing you. We understand. It's not a matter of us not caring or sitting on our hands. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to continue to do that. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate everyone coming. And I would imagine that people are going to filter out of the room, so we're going to take just a very, very short break, especially too because my mother just brought my 7-year-old daughter in here, and I want to give her a hug before we continue on, and I got to run to the bathroom. So with that, with no objection, we're going to... All righty. Hello, everybody. I'm your mayor, Chris Villa, and I call this meeting back to order. Thank you for all being here. So we are now finished with public comments. We're going to move to the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes from the October 8, 2024 regular city commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to,
Wait a minute, I didn't have a mic over here. Motion.
Second.
there we go. All right, we got a motion made by Commissioner Johnson and seconded by Commissioner Daniel to approve the minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to our consent agenda, items 1 through 8, and before we begin here, I'm going to pull 2 items. I believe it's 6 and 7, let me double check.
6.
Yes, 6 and 7. I'm pulling, and Mr. Forte, did you want to pull another one, or was that?
No.
Okay, is that good? Would any other commissioner like to pull any other item?
No.
Okay. Number 2, Mr. Forte? Or did you get that clarified already?
On the consent?
Yes.
No, number 2 is fine.
Okay. All right, so we're going to pull items 6 and 7, so that way we can discuss it. So now we're going to entertain the consent agenda items 1 through 5 and 8. And the proposed action is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless a city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak about anything on the consent agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda items 1 through 5 and 8.
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Danio. No discussion is needed, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to those items that I pulled, which is 6 and 7. The first one is Resolution 2024-R-85, and the second one is Resolution 2024-R-86. Ms. Forte, would you like to discuss these together?
Yeah, I can explain them at the same time. They're basically the same agreement.
And just for clarification to the public, I asked that these be pulled so that way we could, this is specifically about our debris hauling that has begun, and so I thought it was important that we get some information to the public on what is happening, when, how, and what to expect. So, Mr. Forte.
Okay, so back in May or June, the commission approved the continuing services contract that we have with 3 debris hauling companies, of which Phillips and Jordan, P&J was one of them. So we engaged just prior to the hurricane, I think it was on that Monday, Public Works engaged Phillips and Jordan, put them under contract so that we can get them started on debris hauling as soon as we possibly can. So in doing that, I have to have a budget to pay these contractors. So what we do, and what this commission has always done in the past, is we have a reserve budget in the solid waste. And we take the money that's in the solid waste and we move it over to the general fund so that we can pay the bills that we get from the hauler. So the first item, that resolution is for a not to exceed cost of $1 million for Phillips and Jordan to do debris hauling, and $400,000 to Tetra Tech to do the monitoring. I'll make a note, Mayor, that this is not money that comes to me. Just want to make that clear. This is money that goes into the budget that's used to pay the contractors for hauling the debris. The second item is a change order, an amendment to the agreement with Phillips and Jordan, because back in 2022, when Hurricane Ian came through, there was conflict in the agreement over the leaners, hangers, and stumps. And leaners are branches hangers are branches that are hanging from a tree, leaners are trees that are leaning, stumps are just stumps in the ground. And the debate was whether or not the contractor was supposed to remove them and take them away, or remove them and put them at the right-of-way for collection. And I argued that they should take them away. And the cost for that was not covering the cost of what they had to actually do the work. So we modified it so that it says you take those leaners, hangers, and stumps and you place it at the road to be collected, and then there's a charge for it to be collected at that time. New Smyrna Beach made that correction. We're a party to the same contract as New Smyrna and South Daytona. And New Smyrna made that change in their contract in 2022. We just made it this year. So it's correcting a conflict in the agreement. The other thing that it also added is a compaction rate. And the compaction rate has to deal with, because we're going to get a lot of C&D, construction and demolition, from people's homes that were damaged. Typically, that would go directly out to the landfill. Well, that's also going to go to the DMS, the debris management site, and they have to take all that construction debris, and the same way, or I should say in a similar way as they will mulch the trees and then that gets hauled off, they're going to compact and crush up construction demolition materials before that gets hauled off. And there wasn't a rate in there for the C&D compaction, so that rate is the same rate as it would be for the mulching. So that's what the change is for the resolution in R86.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forte. Are there questions for staff? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Forte, I just had a real quick question for clarification for basically the citizens. These dollars are refundable by, or reimbursable, I guess, by FEMA.
Yeah, yes, and the governor and the state emergency manager, I was on a conference call last week, and they were very adamant and very clear that the debris has got to be picked up within 90 days, which ends on January 11th.
Oh.
As long as we get it all picked up by January 11th, we are eligible for FEMA reimbursement at 100%. That being said, we are still battling 2 years later for reimbursements for Hurricane
Right.
Ian. So I don't want anybody to think we're going to get our money back in a year. It's
Right.
going to take a long time to get our reimbursements back.
It always does.
Yes, those would be eligible for 100% reimbursements as long as we get it up within the 90 days.
But
Thank
Mr.
you.
Forte, that is why we budget every year, to make sure to have that reserve in place in anticipation that we can do that without taking out a bond like some other cities are
Absolutely
taking out a
correct.
loan, and in the full expectation that FEMA should be able to reimburse this. Correct?
Some cities have taken bonds and bank loans out to cover their debris hauling expenses, and we've been in a position where we can cover it with an internal fund and then reimburse that internal fund when we get our payments back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forte. Good question, Commissioner Curry. Are there
Thank
further
you.
questions?
No.
Mr. Forte, this company started on Monday, is that correct?
Yeah, they started on Monday. They have some smaller pieces of equipment than we've seen in the past, which they'll go around and they'll take the lighter materials that we have a lot of. And then I'm hoping that we'll get the bigger trucks in to take the larger tree trunks out of the city. But again, they know what the time frame is, and they did Ian within the 90 days. I think we had to go back and pick something else up, and there was $750 outside of the 90-day period. So the amount of debris they're anticipating after this storm is much less than what they had in Ian, so we're confident that they're going to get it done in the 90 days.
One more.
And, okay, after, I just got a couple things. So with all of the storms, especially even before Milton with Helene, and all of the trucks and all of these debris services being dispatched up north and to the west of us, of course, there are not many of these trucks available, is that correct? So it's not like we can go out and just contract with more of these
That's
trucks.
correct. The resources are pretty thin because we are contracted with 3 companies, and all of those companies had sent a lot of equipment up into the Carolinas, and they're still working on that storm from a couple of months ago. So they had to take some time to assemble some crews and get the crews and the equipment here. So it's been tight on labor and equipment to get it into this area for everyone.
And my last question, did they give you an estimate on how much, did they look at how much debris is out there, drive down some streets, an estimate of when it all should be picked up? Because I think what we need to do from years past, the criticism that I have received is it's not getting picked up fast enough. And so I had to tell many people calling, I understand. We have all of the trucks that they possibly have. We are trying to get them to pick it up nonstop, and they're going to get to it when they get to it. But there's so much debris out there. I just don't want someone to think, a homeowner think that it's going to get picked up tomorrow, and it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now. And you see what I'm saying? We need to set that expectation of when it's going to take place.
The message and the expectation is the debris will be picked up by January 11th. If it gets picked up before then, wonderful for everybody. But we're anticipating that there'll be 2 passes. They don't want to announce the second pass because they want people to get their debris out now and get it picked up the first time around.
Right.
But nobody should anticipate their property being collected until January 11th. That's
Right.
the deadline. Now, if it gets done before then, which I fully expect it to be done before the holidays, but I'm only holding the contractor accountable to that 90-day period.
Right. And just for the public's knowledge as well, to make sure to separate your piles. Because I'm being told that if they're not separated, if there's one fence post and a pile of sticks, they're not going to pick that up. Is that correct, Mr. Forte?
It is hugely important. We sent the flyer out to show people where and how to separate their debris from their C&D, from their white goods, from their electronics. It all has to be separated. If it is not, they will pass you by, and then it's your responsibility to get rid of that.
No plastic bags.
Just want to make that clear. Oh, that's
Don't
true.
bag
No,
yourself.
no plastic bags for leaves or debris or anything like that. They won't pick that up as well, so. Okay, I think that's all the questions I had.
You actually asked it, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
good.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you asked it.
There we go. All right, any further questions for staff? All right, at this time, we're going to open this up to the public. Is there anyone that would like to speak on these 2 items? Yes, sir, Mr. Varga.
Yes.
Wait, Mr. Varga, just come to the podium because it's all recorded. Yep. And as you come up, are you speaking on both items in general? Are you speaking on both items in general, Mr. Varga?
No, I have specific questions.
Okay.
Who is, let's see, this is number 6. Who is Phillips and Jordan?
They're a company, a debris hauling
I
company.
know they're a company, but was this bidded out, or do you deal with these people, or is it the first time you dealt with them? Who are they?
No, we've had them under contract for, since 2019, I believe.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. It says $1 million. I don't know if any of you looked around, but I rode the streets of Holly Hill. There's not a lot of debris out there. And if you say there is, show me where it is. Because on my street in Daytona Beach, I live 10 minutes from here in Daytona Beach. My church is here in Holly Hill. But on my street alone, I haven't seen any place where I went, I might have missed a couple streets, that had any, we got big trees in Daytona Beach that are down. But to me, this debris, it don't look like $1 million.
I'll
I
answer
don't
your,
understand that. And what's the $400,000 to check if they're doing it? Don't you have a contract?
I'll answer
If you
your,
got a contract, why do you gotta pay someone $400,000 to see if they're doing their job? They gotta make the contract. That's my questions.
okay, thank you, Mr. Varga. I'll answer it right after public comments.
Can you
Is it-
answer them, or?
Yeah, I will. I will. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this item or either of these items tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comments. So to answer you directly, Mr. Varga, so it is up to $1 million, meaning if all they pick up is $800,000, that's what's charged. So if it's $500,000, that's what it is. So hopefully you're right that there's not a lot out there. Anecdotally, from my own experience of driving around, I'm seeing a lot of it. You can come down my street, someone said Daytona Avenue out there, there's a lot of debris. So this is up to that amount. So if it doesn't go up to that amount, they don't get $1 million check. We're just saying if it gets up to that amount, that is what we are agreeing to right now.
They live it high.
Well, we want to make sure they get all of it, and we don't want them to stop midway through if we put $200,000 and then it had to come back to this commission. So the second question, $400,000 to Tetra Tech, that is a requirement through FEMA. They have to track, and they have to have a certain person there to look at every single debris truck that comes in to calculate how much it is, cubic yards, and then that equates to what FEMA will pay. So if we don't have that contract with them, FEMA won't pay it, and FEMA ends up paying the Tetra Tech fee as well, so. Yes, that's what we are anticipating.
Eventually.
And so we budget that. So we budget to have this in reserves, so that way we can immediately hire these contractors as fast as we can without pulling out any debt. And then from that, then we apply for the reimbursement through FEMA. So I hope that answered.
This regular pickup would get most of this.
No.
Like it's a big $1 million deal.
It won't. I wish it would, but maybe in waste management next contract, but I don't think they'll do that. So with that, are there any further questions? All right. With that, were you wanting to say something?
Just two things I want to expand upon. One is that the debris monitor doesn't just monitor the trucks coming into the DMS. There has to be somebody with the pickup trucks monitoring what gets collected first, and they have to take photos, GPS locations, and identify everything that gets picked up. And then the other thing, as far as the debris, it doesn't just include the trees. It includes all the damage that people are going to take out of their homes and put at the road, and that has to be collected, and no one can see that yet.
Good points, Mr. Forte.
Real quick, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Forte, this isn't like 20 or 30 years ago when you could pay John Smith, who had a trailer that wanted to come collect debris and haul them away and get paid to do that. We can't do that stuff anymore.
Every vehicle has to be pre-certified through a contractor, and every debris every monitor has to be done through a contractor. We are
And those are FEMA requirements.
we are highly regulated.
Thank you.
Any further questions for staff before we vote? I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And for clarification,
If
this
you
is
would
for
like, I'll make-
Resolution 2024-R-85.
Yes, because we have to do them separately,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
We
I
have-
make a motion to approve 2024-R-85.
Mr. Simpson, do you need to read this into record?
No, we,
Neither of them? Okay.
it was part of the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion for approval. Did we have a second? Yes.
A
we have
second.
second from Commissioner Johnson. For clarification, this is Resolution 2024-R-85. We'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we have Resolution 2024-R-86 that we just discussed. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that one.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 2024-R-86 from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion needed?
Nope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to our regular agenda. Number one on there is Resolution 2024-R-78. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2024-R-78 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, awarding the moving rights of the building located at 1060 Ridgewood Avenue to Florida Healthcare Plans, Inc., providing for severability, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Forte.
So Mayor, the city of Pictona has the right to designate the name of the building and facility at 1066 Ridgewood Avenue. The city and Pictona have already entered into a lease agreement and a management services agreement for that facility, previously known as the City Hall Annex. Florida Healthcare Plans would like to acquire the naming rights to the facility from the owner and the tenant, which is the city and Pictona, in consideration for the terms and conditions that are set forth in the agreement and a fee that Florida Healthcare will be paying to Pictona.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff? All right. At this time, we'll open it up to the public. Yes, sir. Mr. Varga, come on up. Wait, just come on up so you can say it into the microphone, please. Just come on up. Yeah, you can come up.
Coming up. You might want to try to get something to a little more handicap friendly, like bring a mic over to there, you know, it might, I'm just a suggestion. Try to be more handicap friendly. This ain't, you know, be easier back there. So 1060, that's the old historic museum. And I looked in the notes of this whole thing, and it says that they leasing this out because it's an unused building. Well, I talked to people that are very carefully engaged with the Historic Society and the museum and things, and the majority of the people I talked to, I know they don't want to get in trouble with you guys, but they were very reluctantly pushed out of there over to Sika Hall, where you give them a couple of clouds. Well, shake your head no all you want. I'm just telling you what the people told me that run the place.
Go ahead.
So you can talk to them and shake your head to them. But they were very happy about it. Shake your head too, Corey.
Mr. Varga, just go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Okay, well, listen.
Please.
So it's Pictona. Forte won't even say the name of the leasee. It's Pictona Pickleball. And so what they're doing, if you read the notes, that you can get them. I did dig them out and got them. But pickleball, that's supposed to be a nonprofit, what they do is they're making these health people pay them money to name it. It sounds like a business to me. You see, these millionaire Pictona people that come in here under the name of a nonprofit, they're a business, and they're running a business, and you've already, Miss Bobblehead Curry, have...
Come to order. Please do not call people names.
There
It is
may be a
unbecoming of your profession. Please, Mr. Varga.
You don't have a
Please.
profession.
Yeah, a preacher can call Bobblehead, I preach that way. So you go to a different kind of church than I have.
Commissioner Curry, I'm sorry
That's
on his
life.
behalf.
But now listen, let me
Disrespect.
just say this to you, that Pictona, they're renting out this, they're making them pay. How much are they paying? You do that, you can't even question that, because you're giving them a 50-year lease for nothing. And you're paying the utilities and all of that to your Mr. Penny and Mr. Forte's little darling that they brag about, that they made Holly Hill famous. I say infamous, not famous, infamous. Yeah, and you bought them off. You sold your soul to Pictona, and here you are now, they don't even won't even mention their name. I've never seen none of them people over here since all this has come up about you sold your soul for pickleball. And I still got a minute 31, bobblehead. You need to send your people
Better
to
than
a little bit
Jezebel.
of public decor, to have a little better public demeanor, you know.
All right, thank
Actually
you.
had ethics training from the
But
military.
anyway,
Thank you, Mr. Varga.
so that's the deal.
Jesus.
So it's Pictona, and they're gonna sell that advertisement to whoever this healthcare people are. When you pushed out the wonderful Historic Society, they're wonderful people, and shame on you for kicking them out of their long-held beautiful building on Ridgewood into a couple of closet spaces at Sika Hall. So, shame on you, that's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Varga. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Yes, sir, Mr. Legary.
Jim Legary, 342 Burley. I'm just amazed, you know, it really is. I'm wondering, is there some way we could do an examination of the books of the church or the Outreach Society? I just can't understand. Here's a man that gets all his money from God, and has opinions on almost everything, and is, you know, it's not really surprising, is it?
All right, and
Yeah, first, I hope you're.
all right. Just keep
All
it,
right.
keep it direct, Gary. Thank you.
I find it so appalling, you know? We're supposed to have some kind of decorum here. I wanted to know, we have leased the building to pickleball for, is that correct? Why is pickleball getting the money, is what I'm asking. We own the building, do we not?
Yeah, valid question. I'll answer it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to comment on this item tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public participation. And Mr. Forte, would you like to answer his question, or would you like to bring up Mr. Phillips?
Sure. What happened is, several months ago, the Historic Society approached me and asked if they can move into Sika Hall.
Wait, did they approach you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, they approached me. And it was their idea, it was actually Polly Capuccio's idea, and I was actually floored because I didn't think about it myself, because it was such a good idea.
Yes.
So we did allow them to move into Sika Hall at their request.
So did the city force them out, Mr. Forte?
Absolutely not.
Do they have more room, Mr. Forte?
They certainly do.
Are they happier, Mr. Forte?
They absolutely
Do
are.
they have more parking?
They have more parking.
So all in all, it was a pretty good move, Mr. Forte?
And they are extremely happy with their new.
And a lot easier access, too.
Yes, more access. So when the building became vacant, Pictona, the representatives from Pictona approached me and thought that it would be a good service to the community if we converted that into a wellness facility for the members, the residents of the city of Holly Hill. So we entered into an agreement to allow them to incorporate that building, although a separate agreement, the same time frame as the original management agreement. So because they provide, listen, Pictona, outside of pickleball, the services that Pictona provides to the community is service that any other way the city would have to provide. So we don't have to provide it, they are providing it for us. So that's a service that we don't have to do, we don't have to manage, we don't have to, we pay a salary of an employee to do that, but it takes far more than one employee to do what they're doing. So they do a lot of fundraising and sponsorship over at Pictona. So they thought it would be a good idea to get Florida Healthcare, who provides the benefits to the city employees and a lot of people in a 6 or 7 surrounding county area, to sponsor the programs that are going to be provided to the public. And in doing that, they wanted to have their naming rights. They wanted to have their name put on the building. So so that's kind of advertising. So they are going to pay a fee, and I think that fee is $4,500, and that's going to go to Pictona to help pay for the employees that are going to run the programs out of there. So that's the reason why the monies go to Pictona, because they're going to run the programs. If they gave the money to the city, then the city would run the programs. I don't want to run the programs. I got a good group of people that are doing a very good job with it.
Joe, would it be fair to say this is a very similar relationship we have with the Boys and Girls Club?
It's very similar to the relationship we have with the Boys and Girls Club and the
YMCA. And what's the name of our Boys and Girls Club?
Rossmeyer.
Isn't that the Rossmeyer Family Boys and Girls Club? It is. That was sponsored and that money goes to the Boys and Girls Club?
Very same scenario.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, I just have to also go into, I apologize that you guys have to hear such negativity about a good thing for the city. So let me just say that. And Pictona, as the nonprofit organization, gets all those monies from tournaments and membership fees from all the millionaires, and I didn't realize I was a millionaire belonging to Pictona, but I need to call my bank to add some zeros. But they provide that through the fundraisers, through the tournaments. They run that facility for Holly Hill, so we don't have to pay for it. And there are activities that are free outside of pickleball. There's a whole recreation aspect over there that's free. So I keep hearing that it's a millionaires club and we're giving to the devil and we are of the devil and whatever. Sir, you do not believe in the same God I do, because that same God does not treat people so badly. So thank you for what you're doing over at Pictona, and again, I apologize for you having to hear such negativity.
All right. Any further questions? All right. So with that, I'll open this up for a motion for approval.
Motion, second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Danio and a second from Commissioner Curry. Any discussion needed?
Yeah, how many people do you hear this from, Penny? How many of these people do you hear this hate against Pictona from?
Just one.
Me too.
All right. Any further comments?
No.
All right.
No.
Seeing none,
Wasted too much time on
we'll
that.
go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move to number 2, which is Resolution 2024-R-87. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2024-R-87, by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of City Holly Hill, Volusia County, Florida, providing for a temporary waiver of building permit fees for anticipated repairs to building or structural damage caused by Hurricane Milton, providing for an intent and purpose of this resolution, providing for a filing period for eligible building permit applications, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Mr. Forte.
We passed a similar resolution after Hurricane Ian, where we allowed homeowners that are going to do repairs on their own property that they have homesteaded and they live in, to be able to obtain a permit without paying a fee. They still have to get a permit, they just don't have to pay a fee. And this only applies to homeowners that are doing the work on their property. It does not apply to contractors. Contractors are going to charge a permit fee anyway. So this is just allowing property owners to obtain a permit without paying a fee to do hurricane damage repair work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions from the City Commission?
No.
All right, seeing none, we'll open this up to public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion needed?
I'm just happy we're doing this again.
I think it's very fair.
Yes. Thank you very much to staff for bringing this forward. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have one item for public hearing tonight, and that is ordinance 2024-0-3079 for first reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2024-0-3079 by title only for first reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the land development regulations by amending the official zoning map to designate the property described in Exhibit A from CC1 Commercial Corridor District to Business Plan Unit Development, BPUD, Business Plan Unit Development, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walker, the floor is yours.
Yes, Mayor, Commission. This is to consider an ordinance that will enact a rezone from our Commercial Corridor District zoning designation to BPUD, which is a Business Plan Unit Development. This is for approximately 1.54 acres. The property is located north of Mason Avenue, east of Daytona Avenue, and south of First Street. It's approximately 430 feet west of Beach Street. Many people may know that there's an AMCO station on the property currently, and it's the big block of vacant, mostly vacant property that is just west of the FDOT retention pond. The property has a commercial future land use. The applicant is requesting this rezone in order to develop a 40-foot tall indoor climate-controlled storage facility that will have a footprint of approximately 33,262 square feet. The applicants also submitted renderings and a preliminary plan and a landscape plan. And I'm wondering, so this is the preliminary plan, and Val, can you bring up the renderings just to kind of give an idea? This is what they have submitted as to what the facility will look like or be substantially similar to this. So right now the overall project area consists of 12 parcels, 2 of which are developed with the building, the AMCO station, and the parking area. The existing building will be demolished, the AMCO station, and the parcels will be combined into one parcel prior to site development. There is in your agenda packet site information. I will say that when it comes to the floodplain, the property itself is not in a special flood hazard area, so that is not a concern. The stormwater system, management system, is being designed by Parker Mitchenberg, which they've been in business for over 40 years, and it will be fully reviewed by Mead and Hunt, the city's engineer, and they have over 40 offices nationwide and many, many decades of experience. The stormwater system will also be reviewed by state agencies, so we can feel confident that the stormwater retention system is something that will be done according to standards and be able to not cause any flooding issues. When it comes to zoning and land uses, for the zoning districts and land uses that surround the subject parcel, there is a sheet attached in your agenda packet called Land Use and Zoning Table. And one of the things that we look at when it comes to a rezone is consistency with the comprehensive plan. So we review the goals, the objectives, and the policies of the comprehensive plan. And this was conducted in order to determine if the proposed rezone is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff does find that the requested rezone is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. In addition, however, in your staff report, you'll notice there are specific policies and objectives that staff did call out to show how it's consistent. And I won't go through all of them unless you have one that you'd like me to go through or any other details with regard to its compatibility with the comprehensive plan. We also look at the appropriateness of the requested zoning category. They're asking for a BPUD. Is that an appropriate zoning classification to request in this situation? So in reviewing the appropriateness of the requested BPUD zoning designation, the Board of Planning Appeals and the City Commission must consider the 8 specific criteria that are listed in Section 82-372 of the Land Development Regulations. The applicant reviews that and fills that out. They have provided a narrative to each of those requirements. However, staff does review it, and it is staff's opinion that the requested rezone from CC1 to BPUD is justified and appropriate for the area. So based on this, staff's recommendation is to adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from CC1 Commercial Corridor District to BPUD Business Plan Unit Development and approve the associated written development agreement and the preliminary development plan and landscape plan for approximately 1.544 acres located north of Mason Avenue, east of Daytona Avenue, and south of First Street, approximately 430 feet west of Beach Street as legally described in Exhibit A.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. And I see, Mr. Watts, you are the applicant, or on behalf of the applicant, correct? Would you like to go ahead and present or add anything to the presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Mark Watts with the law firm of Cobb Cole, 231 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand, and it's good to be over on this side of the county this evening. I'm going to keep it really brief. I appreciate all the time and effort and energy that Brian and your staff have put into working through the application process with us. We're here. We've got Steve Buswell with Parker Minchenberg Engineering here if you have any technical questions. Dan Ginberg with Stein Investment Group, which is will ultimately be the builder and owner of the property, is also here. Happy to answer any specific questions. Based on the commentary tonight, I did just want to point out, while things like the Water Management District require you design your stormwater to the 25-year, 24-hour storm event, this one's actually being designed to the 100-year storm event, just to make sure that we're covering that basis. And other than that, here to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, I do have questions, and I don't know if it'll be for staff or for you, but I have about 3 questions. So, speaking about water retention or stormwater, I asked staff this because I didn't see it in my report. I am concerned about where the water will go from this property, and so I see on the plans, I see no retention. I know there's a retention pond to the east of it, but can you talk about how the water that will be landing there, what will happen to it? On my plans, I don't see where any of the new catch basins go to.
Sure.
So could you elaborate, unless you need...
I'm gonna ask Steve to come sit right here in case I say something wrong, but the simple answer to that is, and this is pretty common when you're dealing with sites that are kind of tighter, more infill sites, stormwater is being handled with exfiltration system here. So if you look at the plans that are in your materials, you can see that there are inlets. There's actually excavated vaults that are under the parking areas that retain that stormwater and then allow it to discharge or perk into the soil. So you're still providing that same level of stormwater retention and everything else. Is just being handled in that exfiltration system.
It's underground.
It's an underground system that goes under things like the parking lot and everything else. And I got it right.
Okay, and then, and you might need to answer the next question. So, we talk about designing to 100-year, and Ian was said to be a 500-year. I haven't heard what they're going to say about this one, but I know my house didn't flood in Ian, and now it flooded. So potentially we have another 500-year flood. We're designing to 100-year standards. So once that exfiltration system fills up, where does that outfall to? Do you know?
Sure. Steve Buswell with Parker Minchenberg and Associates.
Thank you, Steve.
1729 Ridgewood Avenue, Holly Hill. So what's a little bit unique about this site is that on the west side, it's elevation 11. On the east side, it's down around 3 to 4. So there's quite a bit of grade change. So we designed a system. We still need to go through the permitting. This is kind of the first step of, obtaining the zoning approval. And then from there, we'll go into detailed design, submittal to the Water Management District. But right now, it's designed for a 100-year storm, which if you go by the rainfall charts, it's 11.2 inches. If a storm event exceeds that, it still takes it in, it just discharges, there's still retention used. It discharges, there's 2 points of discharge, one to the north, one to the south on the east side, that will then discharge into the FDOT pond. So it's maintaining the consistent historical drainage flow patterns, but that's the treatment volume and so forth is all consistent with the district as well as the city.
In your experience, does FDOT allow you to usually dump into their pond? I think in years past, we were told that we couldn't do that.
We can't discharge more than what is currently going there. So the DOT has, and again, we'll need to apply for 3 permits from the DOT, a utility, a drainage permit, and a driveway connection permit. So as part of the drainage connection permit, there's 48 different storm events that you would need to analyze, and whatever one becomes the critical storm event, you must meet or exceed the retention requirements associated with that from a pre-post standpoint. So as long as we discharge in a consistent location with the pre-development or the existing discharge, that's how you permit it.
Okay. Thank you. I think, would anybody else like to ask the engineer? Yes.
Just real quick, you're talking about it discharging into the FDOT retention pond, but you can't, it's not allowable for more to go in there than what it already has capacity for, so how does that work?
So you do an analysis of the existing site based on the current topography, the existing impervious areas that are associated with it. Where does, right now, kind of if you look along the east side, that's pretty much kind of the location of their existing parking area. So if on both the north and south side, there's little swales and spillways that the water, when it rains, it discharges there currently. We can't exceed what currently is going there. So it's not a matter of whether they're going to accept it or not. Historically, we're going to maintain the existing drainage pattern and not discharge more than what our site would now generate in the post-development.
And just one more question, Mayor. Since most of these storms that are coming out, and I suspect, I'm not a meteorologist or anything of the sort, but I would suspect our storms aren't going to get any better. And they're just going to keep being stronger and more rain. And I don't understand the concept of continuing to do to a 100-year storm if we're having 500-year storms.
Understood. That, I guess, becomes more of a policy question, in a land development code change. Right now, they're basing all their data on historical rainfall amounts of, there's a publication, I think it was issued back in 1988 that had, a bunch of data in it that had, for a 24-hour storm event, this is the amount of rainfall that comes down. Now, you can look at, I think Channel 2 published something that said Ormond had 22 inches. I've heard 15 inches at the airport. Obviously, those are above and beyond the current design storms. But I could see.
Joe, that would basically be a policy issue that we would need to change. Is that correct? Or is that on St. John's?
Well, it'd be a policy
We could set it.
that you can change here, but you would not have any development. You just can't really build to a 500-year storm because of our elevation.
That might not be such a bad thing, but
It may not be a
it's
bad
something
thing, it
that we
depends on
can-
what you want.
It's something I guess we can discuss in the future.
Well, and it's likely to be something that comes up out of your workshop. One of the things that I will point out with regard to what the PUD does and what it doesn't do, the use is already allowed, so the PUD is not being used to add a use. We're adjusting some of the dimensional criteria. What we're not doing is saying we want a special exception or special treatment with how your stormwater calculation is done. So the first step in this process is the PUD and getting that approved so we know what to design for. That design process will be ongoing from here. And to the extent you're also talking about what your standards are going to be, that we would have to take that into account depending on if there were changes to the design criteria. I will tell you that I think the Water Management District's current standard is the 25-year, 24-hour storm event. We're going with being conservative, going with that more intense storm event. I know some communities are talking about, actually City of DeLand on the 7th of October adopted that 100-year storm event as its new standard in its comp plan. So we're going to go along with the adjustments. We'll be working with your staff to make sure that we're designing to what the standards are.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. My next question is how many storage units are expected in there? I know they might need to work it out, but is there a rough number of how many they're going to have? 700? All right.
In the vicinity of 700.
All right, yeah, roughly about 700. And am I correct in saying that there's 6 normal spaces, parking spaces, and 1 handicap? Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's right from the site plan.
Okay. So, Brian, can you come back up here? Thank you, Mr. Watts. And I may have another question for you, but so my question for staff is, in our CC1 zoning, we currently allow for storage for this type of use. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it a special exception even in that designation, or is it just allowed?
It's only a special exception if it's in the CRA.
Only if it's in the CRA?
Right.
Okay.
So in this particular location, they're allowed by right, along with a lot of other uses like restaurants, bars. Those are things that they could do and not come here at all.
Okay. So is this property, so why are they asking for a BPUD instead of CC1 designation? Is it just because of the parking requirements, and if so, can you explain that?
Well, that's one reason. There are a couple of reasons. One is the parking. If they were to develop this in straight zoning, which is CC1, they'd be required to have a space for every 10 units. So if you're looking at 700 units, you'd be looking at 70 parking spaces. That, for this type of a facility, an indoor climate-controlled storage facility, is overkill. These rules were done many, many years ago, and there's no storage facility that's an indoor climate-controlled storage facility that has 60, 70 cars in it at any particular time. So they do request less, and in order to do that, they need to ask for a negotiated, quote, negotiated zoning, if you will. And so what they've asked for is based on what the industry sees as the requirement for indoor climate-controlled storage. But they need to do that through a PD process. The other thing, frankly, is that staff asked them to do a PD, and part of the reason why we did that is so that the commission could see what it is that they were going to put there. That's why we requested the renderings. I wanted this commission to see, and the city manager to see, what it is that they were requesting to put there, because there's all kinds of storage facilities. And so what we told them is we wanted a high-end facility that would look good and that any city would be proud to have in it if they're going to have another storage facility. And so that's also one of the reasons. We get control, in a sense, over landscaping. We've asked for enhanced landscaping, things like setbacks. These are things that we're able to negotiate with in the process. And so that's part of that's another reason why the BPUD process is being pursued.
And I'm going to steal a line from my vice mayor, who we always talk about when PDs come before us, that this is a negotiation, as you said. And so out of our negotiation, what exactly are they giving the city and this property and this project in exchange for us allowing them to have a PUD to be able to build this there?
One of the things that they're giving us is the ability to see what they're putting there. Without this process, they could say, we're going to do a storage facility, and it's going to have regular roll-up doors, and we're going to paint it purple with yellow polka dots, and there'd be nothing we could do about it. We've asked for a specific type of storage facility, a high-end storage facility, and that's what they're giving us. They don't have to. We've asked for enhanced landscaping and greater setbacks. They've given us that. They wouldn't have to do that if they just said, we're going to go straight CC1. And so they would have to do more parking, but they could give us a much less quality product. And frankly, more parking just means more asphalt and issues with that are not needed.
And can you quickly, I didn't catch that before in my packet, you said greater setbacks. So what would be the setback requirements in the CC1 for this type of project versus, I know that they're 15 feet and 10 on one side.
The front would be 15, the sides would be 15. I don't have the CC1 list in front of me, but and I believe the rear would be 10.
So I believe that's what they have now.
They're giving a little bit more on the front. The front is 19.91, so 20 there. It comes to 15 on the east, but it is greater on the west. And on the side road, which those are just a little over 15, but they're about 15. However, on the other side, it's over 30 feet. And they could say, instead of giving 30, we're going to go to 15. So they've given basically twice as much of a setback on that side.
But would they be able to do that and still meet the parking requirements? And I'll answer that
If they
question
did
for you. No.
the parking requirements, if they went CC1?
Correct.
No, they'd have to give more toward parking. So they would have to increase that. They would not be able to do as big a facility.
So bigger setbacks.
They would, right. So a lot of times what people do in order to enable, they give a product
I didn't mean
that's...
to put you on the spot or anything.
No, it's true.
I'm just working through this here, and I know, Mr. Watts, you're biting at the bit. If you want anything to add, you certainly can.
No, the only thing I was going to add, one of the things that I like about a PD, particularly when you're doing something like this, is, oftentimes when we get into this process, we then, hear from a neighboring property owner or hear from, somebody that says, hey, I've got this concern, what can we do about it? So, for example, at the BOPA meeting, and before the BOPA meeting, we heard from Chris Mayer, who's the adjacent resident to the west. We sat down with him. Rob Earl and I both went to his property, talked to him about what the concerns were. He was concerned about, the back access area and headlights shining into his bedroom window. And so we committed and have added, to the plan that will bind to this property, because it's a PD, a screening fence in addition to the extra landscaping that we added along that western buffer to provide that protection from him. In CC1, you don't have the opportunity to do that. You don't have the opportunity to get into those conversations and figure out, okay, this is something that we can do. And I think the other key factor is, as Brian mentioned, when we first came in to talk about the site, to have the pre-app, the concern was, how do we guarantee that this is higher end? And so you see the architecture. This is one of the climate-controlled buildings that's made to look more like an office building. That is part of the commitment that you're gaining through the PD.
Thank you. Are there further questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can just reserve time in case anybody else has questions.
Yes, of course. Yep. All right. With that, I'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Yes, sir. In the back. The original Mayor Villa.
5 minutes, Roland.
We're about to both be former. Yeah, we're holding you to the 5 minutes.
Maybe we'll change you to 3.
Roland Villa, 534 Eagle Drive, Holly Hill, Florida, 32117. Anything else?
Social Security number.
I am talking directly to the mayor right now when I say in a minute, okay, he may ask you to ask the chief to take me out, but just ignore it for a moment.
I'll do it myself.
This, son, is your last business item. Right? Here you go. Really what I wanted to say is to the commission, I think he did a decent job as a mayor. I'm very, very proud of what he's done as a mayor. John, you know as a mayor. Roy, you know as a mayor.
I agree.
It's not an easy job. I know that too. But I just wanted to thank you guys, John and the staff, Penny. He's only as good as he is because of you, okay? He preaches that to me all the time about team. And that's what baseball is all about. And Jeff Delanoy, who's coming on, used to be one of his baseball coaches.
This is a weird storage comment.
It's a strange story. And that's exactly the reason why I wanted to be the last one. I made Kurt and Jim stay so they could hear this. No, I just have a lot of great pride for you, and because it aggravates you for me to come up here. I still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I like this. No, really, it's to say thank you to the commission, because he couldn't have done that. John, thank you for the short period of time that you've been here, but an important period of time. And trust me, when he said earlier tonight he's going to be sitting out in the audience, you ain't going to get rid of him that easy.
Well, I know that.
Not really. Also, it'll be nice for me to be able to get back in the political fray and have my own opinions again. One thing that he worried about from the very beginning was he said that people are going to think that I'm just an extension of you. And I said, now, I know you well enough not to. I think you'll agree with me that he has been his own man. And that's important. I'm proud of you.
That's pretty nice.
Thank you, Dad.
That's right.
Yes, Mr. Watts.
Just needed rebuttal for a moment.
It was strong, yeah.
Just like an attorney.
In all seriousness, I will say, I think I was here with an item on your first night as mayor.
Yes.
So congratulations, well done. I applaud, as much as I've been doing this for 25 years, and I witnessed it through my dad as a attorney before me, doing the same type of work for 40 years. I know the nature of that father-son dynamic, but also I applaud all of you that are in the arena. We couldn't do what we do as communities without you, so happy to answer any of the questions you might have. But
Thank you, Mr. Watts. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission about this item? All right, seeing none, I'll close public participation.
Good thing your mom's not here.
Yeah. If my daughter was, she would grab some.
Quasi-judicial, so we should disclose any ex parte communication.
Is there any ex parte communication?
I met the applicant before the meeting, that was it.
Okay.
I have none.
I have none either, so no ex parte communication on this. I just have one more question, and then I'll say in my comments where my stance is, but Mr. Forte, do you believe this is the highest and best use for this property, being that it's on Mason Avenue, being a gateway to our city? I understand that there's taxable value to be brought, but is this the type of project that you think is the highest and best use for this property? I hate to put you on the spot like that.
Well, it's always an individual opinion. I mean, I'd love to see a hotel there,
Yeah.
which to me would be the highest and best use, but we're not going to get that. So there are other uses that could be of higher value or higher income or community need.
That's all I needed. Okay, thank you. With that, I will open the floor up for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Discussion. Do you need any discussion?
I'm good.
I just want to clarify that, Mr. Watts, we've had a great relationship throughout. I think you're one of the stand-up attorneys, always honest, and I thank the applicant for wanting to come to our city. I want to explain my no vote tonight. This is my last vote as a mayor, and I have always held to the standard of highest and best use on all properties. I have too many questions on this. And as I see the storage units popping up across our city, overnight, we've been inundated in the last couple of years. I understand that it's still in our CC1 zoning, but I don't agree that it should be, and I hope in the future we can take it out. Looking at future commissioners, two in the audience here tonight, because I know how much of a moneymaker they are, and it's nothing against storage. People need storage, I get it. But with high-value properties that we can really make better use of, that's what I want to see. So it's nothing personal to you, to the company. I don't know the company. I don't know any of that. But I just have to vote my conscience here. I've done that every day in my 8 years sitting on this dais, and I'm going to do it again tonight because I just don't believe in the project, but it's nothing personal to any of you. So this will come for a second reading. So what's interesting is this commission will vote on it, and then the next commission will vote on it next. So very interesting. So with that, I've explained my my no vote. And so with that, is there any further discussion? I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, no. The motion carries 4-1. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. All right. Now, with that being said, we're going to go to comments. Mr. Forte, do you have any comments tonight?
It's a bittersweet night, Mayor. I had the pleasure of working with you for 8 years, 6 years as the mayor. It's been a great 6 years and a bad last night. And
It's
as
been all
I
right.
said to another associate of mine who's also on his way out the door, don't let the last 30 hours negatively impact the last 8 years that you were here. As the Mayor B is senior, did he leave?
You left.
Yeah, the nerve of the guy. As he said, we were...
Open the door there. Tell him he's talking about him.
Roland.
We're talking about you. Mr. Forte said something about you. Said how I'm a better mayor than you were. Just kidding. I just put that into his mouth.
But as he alluded to when he was standing up here, all of us, myself included, were concerned that you were going to be nothing more than an extension of Roland Villa, the mayor at that time. And you've proven not to be. You may have sought his counsel at time, but and for me, I was nervous at the beginning. You're younger than my children. And you came in here and proved to be your own man. And to your credit, and this is not a dig, it's to your credit, you've probably been the mayor with the most lone votes out there because you stick to your guns and you make decisions based on your conscience and your beliefs. And I respect that, and I think everybody respects that. Whether they agree with your decisions or not, it's tough to be the guy in the center, and it's tough to be the only no vote, or in some cases, the only yes vote on certain issues. So I just want to let you know that I've enjoyed our time. I appreciate the time that we had together and the respect that you gave me. And I hope you felt the respect I give back to you. We've had our disagreements at times, but man, you held it like a champ. You know,
Thank you.
Far more mature than your age, I can tell you that. So I thank you for that time. And Commissioner Danio, I've known you for almost as long as I've known, I remember when the mayor was born. That's how long I've known him.
Yeah.
And I've known you for a very long time. Goes back to your dad's pizza shop on International Speedway. And you two have been an absolute wonderful member of the commission, supportive of me, supportive of my staff. You've earned the respect of all of us, the two of you have, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate the time that you've put in and the respect that you've given, because if I didn't feel it, as you know from the past, I wouldn't be here. I'd be someplace else, and you've lengthened both of you have lengthened my career here in the city of Holly Hill, for which I am proud for everything that we do. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right. Anything further? Any city business?
No.
Nope. All right. Mr. Simpson.
I would just say I enjoyed working with both of you for these years. I think, Chris, we went back to the planning board, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
It's even further than on the commission, but it's been real enjoyable working with you, and as a high school kid, I would go to your pizza place over on, that was a big spot for England high school kids to run over there and get a pizza real quick, or a slice of pizza, couldn't get a whole pizza. But I enjoyed working with y'all, you were great to work with. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll start with the vice mayor, then Commissioner Curry, then Commissioner Johnson, and then you, and then I'll go. Okay? Vice Mayor.
Joe said all the good stuff. Just like to thank the staff and Tony Casada, who's up for the wonderful car show we had this past weekend. Great weather. Had a full house tonight. I've made a lot of good notes or some good ideas, and I think this problem is bigger than any one of us. And I don't believe all the solutions are going to be found with the people with the credentials. I think there's some common sense that's going to have to come into this, and so I wrote down a lot of ideas that may or may not work, but I think we can collectively come up with a solution to put a dollar sign on it to then move forward. And my dad always tells me, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We know the elephant's out there. We just don't know how big it is or how much it's gonna cost or where to even start. So I trust that this commission and staff is gonna do everything, and I don't know if there's anyone here that was talking, not too many people here were talking about flood earlier, but it's gonna be a #1 priority for the next several years in this city. We've had some obstacles we've overcome recently, and we punched through them. We came out better on the other side, and I think this community will come out better on the other side. And speaking of better, I think the city is better because of the two of you, both of your services. I've been around here for a while, and I didn't know Chris when he was born, but I served as the District 1 Commissioner when his father was the mayor. And we would go to the League of Cities dinners, and Chris would babysit my kids, which I don't know if that was such a good idea.
It turned out great. Went the doctor.
But it's been a joy and an honor to work with you and beside you, and see you grow and see you be your own man. And the only thing I know that's stronger than your conviction for the city is your conviction and your faith in your family. And I applaud you for that. And Commissioner Danio, what a blessing to have your mother here tonight. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is.
Absolutely.
Mrs.
Still awake?
I've known Commissioner Danio longer than anyone in this room. I'm trying to figure out, it's more than 50. I don't think it's 55 years, but I think it's over 50.
Yeah?
When we grew up in a neighborhood called Fiesta Heights in Ormond,
Dad used to coach us.
it was at the intersection of what is Nova Road and Granada. It was a blinking yellow light both ways. There was nothing but woods, and we hung out in the woods, and we broke bones together, and we laughed together, and we cried together. And it was a great experience as a kid growing up. The one rule was you had to be home when the streetlights came on, and anyone's parent in the neighborhood could whip your butt. I don't think Miss Daniel ever whipped me.
She should have.
But she probably should have several times. But what an honor to be able to work beside you, John, as your lifelong friend. And the same thing can be said about you, is that the only thing that you care about more than this city is your family and your faith. And I'm proud to serve beside two strong Christian men as you are. So thank you for your years of service.
Mr. Curry?
Thank you. And as Commissioner Penny stated, the flooding, like I said earlier, is definitely going to be a priority for my last 2 years of my term. So please come up and bug me all you want. I'll be willing to listen. I would just like to say to you, although we haven't always agreed on issues, I appreciate the sometimes spirited debate we have had. And then yet we can leave here as friendly people and not hold it against one another. Your commitment to our shared goals and unwavering passion for serving our community have made an impact on our city in the future. I want to thank you for your service to our city, and I wish you well in your future endeavors, Mayor. Thank you. And Mr. Dean. John, working with you has been an absolute pleasure, and your contributions to our team have been invaluable. Your commitment to public service has made a lasting impact on our team and the constituents we serve. I always enjoyed your educational invocations, and I will truly miss them, but I told you earlier, I'll let you come fill in for mine.
I'll pinch hit anytime you need me.
I wish you all the success and happiness in your next chapter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, no worries.
Come on.
You were on deck, now you're coming up to bat here.
I need it better so I can walk faster.
There you go. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes. Oh, and I think since this is your last meeting, you should straighten your name tag. The last full meeting. Yeah, it's been really a pleasure working with both of you. I think You know, at first we was gonna be competitors, remember? And then I made a phone call to you and said, let's work together, and I'll work here and you work there. So it worked out better. And, and this is for absolutely sure, we got a very good outgoing mayor, and we got a very good incoming mayor. So I think we're really gonna move forward and do great, you know what I mean? And I think it's been a pleasure knowing you, John. I didn't really know you till I got on the commission with you, but speaking of knowing for so long, I've known him since he was a little kid, you know what I mean? So I probably known him longer than you have. I worked with his dad for a good 40 years, I'd say, right, John? And I think everything in the city is going good, except for flooding. Like I said, that I don't know how to control it. I'm at a loss for it, but I feel so bad for the people that are suffering through it, you know what I mean? I worked really, really hard in the last few weeks to help people get power back on, but I didn't know how to help them with the flooding. But if you drive down Hand Avenue, you will see some of the household goods are stacked outside as high as the roofs of the houses. You know what I mean? Hand Avenue was super under flooded, and the service center that I work in was always flooded. Completely ruined the service center, Port Orange and Norman, again, 2 times in a row, have to redo the whole thing. So flooding is a bad, expensive thing. And, but I'm just really happy with all the people I work with here. It's such a great thing. You know, happy with all the people I work with at work, for so many people too. And it's just been a great thing being here. I mean, I know we get overpaid, so we really should do more. You know, I don't remember what it is. I think it starts out at 8,000, and it doesn't go up from there. It goes down, you know. And that's for a whole year. You know what I mean? But when I first moved to Florida, 10,000 was a pretty good salary, you know what I mean? When I first moved to Florida, it was. But that was back in 1968. You know. So I've been here for quite a while, and I've seen a lot of things happen. But on the business side, tomorrow we have a TPO meeting, and if anybody has anything that they would like for me to say at the TPO meeting, besides why we're so far up behind on the Pioneer Trail exit that DOT won't really give me an answer on yet. I think they say now that the projected starting time for that now is fall of next year. When it first started, I mean, it's going to be spring of next year, they said. But they say it was going to be fall of this year to start with. So something has happened in here that I don't know about, but I keep putting enough pressure on until sooner or later I'll get to the bottom of it. You know? Because I really, really, really think that Pioneer Trail is going to take a lot of traffic off of Dunlawton. That exit will take a lot of traffic off of Dunlawton and 44, you know, especially Dunlawton in the mornings, you know what I mean? So that's a good thing. And another thing is too, in just a few more days before the next commission meeting, I think a couple more weeks I'll be 85, and I want to make absolutely sure that everyone here is invited to my 85th birthday. And it will be at the Evolution Sports Center, which I've been accused of saying it's in a woman, but really, since it's my property, I should know where it's at. It's actually in Holly Hill, and I talked to Matt at Flight Gymnastics, and he said he never has any intention of annexing into any other city as well. So, but the 85th birthday party will be at the Evolution Sports Center. I don't have any control over it, so my daughter will have to announce when we're going to have it. Possibly on my birthday, I don't really know. Possibly, because I think Dallas has an invite to a special baseball team on the Saturday after my birthday or something. And last weekend, he was a superstar in his tournament games. He's won 11 tournament games in a row, his team has. 11 tournament games in a row without losing one. And he made an infield home run at Boot Stadium last weekend. And just before that, he made a triple. So I'd say he's doing pretty well. But that's all I have, and I'll let it go to the two people that will be here for the next meeting. but they
We
won't.
might be if we keep going at this.
They'll be here for the next meeting, but to the transition.
All right, my turn?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Floor is yours. Commissioner.
All right, can I wake up my wife and my mom and my daughter? You guys are good? Yeah, sorry, guys. Well, short of the apologies to the citizens with all their flooding and stuff, and I know that's not going to be enough, but I just wanted to say that, 8 years ago, I was asked, and by previous Commissioner John Capers, who was a good friend and customer of mine, we miss him a lot, and I thought, no way, it's not. Pizza Johnny, elected official, that ain't gonna happen. And I got elected, and I got a lot of congratulations, and I got probably just as many condolences, and I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into at the time, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot up here, and I learned about, with Sereno's and being part of the community for all those years, I saw things through a business lens and never through a city government lens that was totally different. And I was rewarded for it, and I learned a lot, and it opened my eyes to a different aspect of it. And I've been glad and proud of what we've accomplished. I think, we've accomplished a lot over the last 8 years. And I have a thank you list, so I'll start. My wife, first and foremost, because she always was there to kind of support me and encourage me to do things like this, to take risks, and this was a risk, and I appreciate that, and I thank my kids for growing up to the point where I could take those risks. So, I was like, and being my mom's here, I got to thank her, because without her, I wouldn't be here to begin with. So I thank you guys, my whole family, my granddaughter, and my happy retirement, 8 Ball. Okay, so that's my family. Mr. Forte, I thank you for your patience in our meetings and kind of helping me along and all your experience. And prior to our relationship here, we go back a long ways. And you've been through thick and thin, man, but you keep plugging along. And I just say keep going. We got a couple more years. Val, you fed me for all these years. I will never eat a peppermint patty without thinking of you. I appreciate that. Scott, Brian, everybody in the staff have always been there for questions or concerns and kind of helped me along and carried me through the process. And my fellow commission. We haven't always agreed, food trucks, but we have agreed to disagree. And at the end of our meetings, we've kind of left our egos at the door, and I appreciate that, and I respected that. And you guys have kind of nurtured me and groomed me, and I can't, you couldn't ask for more than that. It was just a great experience. So I just thank you for your 8 years of positivity, Mr. Mayor's word, camaraderie, and I will still be Pizza Johnny like I have been for all these other years. I will be sitting out there with you probably, and I will be involved, and you haven't seen the last of me. So I just thank you guys, and I appreciate it.
Well said. Well, it's so late. I guess we went out with a bang for the last meeting. One of, other than when we got sworn in, probably one of the most people that we've had here. So, my dad always had a terrible joke that said, "People will show up when you're getting sworn in or sworn at." So, or when you're leaving office, apparently. So, for our new commissioners, that's what you could come to expect. But look, in all seriousness, this has been the honor of my life. I grew up around politics. I grew up here in this city. I grew up playing baseball across the street here. Holly Hill is in my DNA. It's in my blood. And one thing that I always said as mayor is Holly Hill proud, that I'm Holly Hill proud. that's who I am. It's just everything has built me to be the man that I am because of my experiences. And just got to thank a lot of people because I'm not a crier. This is weird.
Not crying, you're crying.
You guys are not even saying anything good. But I just have to thank, first and foremost, my dad for everything you've done. I look up to you, and it's awesome to sit here where you sat and to have you along in my journey to understand the pressures and to help me through those. So thank you. God, this sucks.
You got it, dude.
At least I'll get this out now. So my farewell speech, I won't be able to do this. So speaking of which, farewell speech, I felt it was inappropriate to speak tonight while so many people were reeling and say goodbye, while there's 3 weeks left in office and people still need to know that I'm their mayor and I care for them. So, God. Joe, I want to thank you so much. It's been a great professional relationship, and I consider you a friend, and you've done a lot for this city that people don't see. People don't know. When I call you at 1 a.m. and email you at 4 a.m. and we're emailing back and forth at 5 a.m. and the amount of effort and love that you put into the city, it shows every day, and it shows in your leadership. And you make sure that the city commission is apprised on everything that comes before us. In my 8 years, I think I've probably only been surprised once, and I made sure I made you hear about it afterwards. But that's spectacular because I talked to other elected officials and across actually the state of Florida and about the way that we communicate. And so often, most times I call you after 5 on your way home and get a download from you, and that just doesn't happen all the time. But what I can say is, no one is perfect in this world, but what we all have to do is strive to be our best and do our best and admit when we're wrong. And the number one thing that I value in a person is their truthfulness. And Joe, good, bad, or ugly, you have always told me the truth, and I've always appreciated that, and it's allowed me to trust you. And I just appreciate everything that you've done for this city and for myself. Scott, thank you for guiding me and teaching me when I was a little pup on the planning and zoning board, and you taught me a lot. I probably asked way too many questions, but I know that those years helped me, and as a commissioner, to learn more about city government and what I can and should not do from a legal standpoint. So I always appreciate having you there. You've given us a lot of confidence. And Val, thank you for everything you have done. You are like kind of a second mom in a way, and I just really appreciate everything that you do for this commission, including, yes, the candy. You're always stocked up, and always give my kids candy too. So I appreciate that. But no, you're a wonderful person, and I appreciated working with you. And to our chiefs, our fire chief first, I've known you longer, and now we're baseball buds because your grandson is out there on the baseball fields, and I'm out there with my son. So looking forward to talking to you more about baseball. And, one of the greatest achievements I think that this commission has done is create that fire station for you and your people over there. And we hope that you enjoy it. I'm very, very proud that I was able to have a hand in that in some small way. So thank you for your service, Chief. And now to you, our police chief, Chief Williams. I haven't known you that long, but from what I know of you, you're a good man, and I appreciate you, and I pray for you and your whole term here as chief. I know you're already changing things around. I see the positivity coming out of it. I see the citizens supporting you, and that's beautiful. You know the area. I know you love this city already, and I just ask that you always pour your heart and soul in it, and that God will always protect you. So thank you very much, Chief. To Brian Walker, out of all the staff other than Joe, I probably bug you the most. So I'm sorry for my incessant questions and emails and calls and just pop into your office when you got 7,000 other things. But I appreciate you've always taken the time. You've always told me the truth. You've always tried to understand what I was envisioning or seeking, and you figured out a way for me to get there. And it's been invaluable, and I can't thank you enough. And just a plug for future commissions, I don't think we need to look far after Joe leaves for a city manager. I think you do a wonderful job, and I think you love this city, you love the citizens, you truly care, and you're more than qualified there. So, I think the world of you. Also to Mrs. Moore, our finance, I have to apologize to you too for sending you emails at 3 a.m. asking budget questions, and that maybe I didn't need to know fully, but I always appreciate you have always given me everything that I've asked for, and you do a great job for us. So Peg, love stopping in and seeing you. I mean, everyone. The Smiths, thank you for everything you do for our community. We know how much you do and how much you care and love the community. Mr. Legary, you and I, it's so funny, we've agreed, we've disagreed, but I always value your opinion. And when you come up, you do it in a positive light. And you honestly have contributed a lot to my thinking, and I think to this commission's thinking. We know you give back to the community with your book program and everything. You care more than most citizens care, and so thank you for always being involved. I don't ever really need to ask for your address because I have it remembered by heart because you come up
42 Burley.
But yeah, that's okay. So and I'm going to get to you, Mr. Daniel, last. But I want to also just say to our new commissioners, Deborah and Jeff. Jeff, I knew you for a long time. You were my coach at one point. I've played ball with your boys. I've known you for a long time, and I know you worked for the city. I know you're going to do a great job. I know your heart is in this, and I think that's the number one thing. I mean, like John Daniel said, when you came, you didn't know all the rules. You didn't know all the stuff. You learn along the way, but what's important is what's in here. And the Vice Mayor said it earlier best, that you are a man with convicted of the Christian faith, and you have that spirit in you. And Jeff, I know you to be the same man. So I wish you the best. And Deborah, you as well. Always use that guiding light within you to make your decision. And as Mr. Forte said, I've been lone no vote probably more than anybody else. I don't know if that's a stat, but the reason is because I've always said that every decision that I've made, I may make mistakes along the way, but I want to be proud of every single vote. I never want to feel like I did it just to go along, or I just did it because of this or that, or because who was representing it or who was coming before us. I wanted to make sure that no matter who it was, no matter what it was, I looked at the overall picture and did the best thing for the city. And I can say, all of my votes, I've done that. So in closing, I want to say, I always spoke about being Holly Hill proud. And tonight, I feel more proud than ever before for everything that we've all accomplished together. John, you have been a mentor. Our relationship started off with me running against you for public office, and I lost. And 16 votes to the runoff, and I wasn't crushed at all. I knew you were a good man. I knew that you would push the city forward. And you remember immediately I called you afterwards, said, how can I help? And you were one of the ones that said, let's get you on a board. And you were instrumental in putting me on the Board of Planning and Appeals. That led to me eventually running for city commission. And from that, and I think that you'll agree here, that you and I are usually the strongest opinionated,
I was gonna say.
but
Passionate, she's angry.
yeah, but we have always kept it civil. I want you to know I've always respected your opinion. I've always heard you out. You have changed my mind on things. I hope that I've changed yours on some, and I know you've come to compromise as well. And it's been a great working relationship, and I really appreciate what you said, because I know you to be a man of faith and a man of family, and I know you to be a man that loves the city. All of us do. We wouldn't be doing it if we wouldn't. So I really appreciate my time with you. I learned a lot from you when I was sitting over there and you were mayor, and I took lots of what you did as mayor and implemented it into my mayorship. And so I just want to thank you for all your positivity and everything you've done over the years. Commissioner Curry, as you said, we've probably bumped heads the hardest, which is okay, and I've always said that sometimes the greatest solution is really right in between our hard-fought beliefs. And so I think that we've moved the needle in certain ways, and that's the beauty of government here. And so many other people in politics, they can take it so personal. And when I leave here, we talk. Hey, how you doing? How's the kids? I consider you a friend in that way. And I respect you, and I respect your opinions, even if we got heated a couple times. Not many. Spirited. So thank you for your service. And Commissioner Johnson, you said it best. At first, we were going to run against each other, and then
I got to know you.
Yeah, and it's so funny, because I tell people all the time that my dad knows this, is that I think out of all my time here, you've been my biggest ally on this commission. I think you voted more with me on things than anything else, and I think that you do a great job, and it shows. I don't want to say your net worth, but you have no business being here making no money, and so it just speaks to who you are and how you dedicate your life to this city. So I want to thank you, and I appreciate your service. It is strange to be the only mayor to have two other mayors on your dais at all times, so that's been unique. And to Mr. Danny Oak, thank you so much for your service. We came on together at the same time.
Yep.
And I got to sit next to each other, and we got to figure out things together. And other than the food truck, we won't talk about. Might have had that disagreement there, but no. Once again, the vice mayor said it best. You're a man of faith. You're a good man, and I think that you've always held your compass and let that guide you. And I think that there's nothing better. We're not perfect, and I'm sure as we all look back, there's different votes that maybe we'd vote differently today, but I know that you did it always out of the goodness of your heart and what you thought was best for the city. And so I thank you for your service, for serving these 8 years, and you're going to have a much better life after November 12th. So am I. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
So in closing, I'll just say that as I close this chapter as mayor, I want to remind everyone that I will always be here to support our city in any way that I can as a proud citizen of Holly Hill. My slogan when I was running was "Let's move forward," and we've done that together. But our journey is still not complete, and we heard that here this evening. There is a long way to go. And as Mr. Forte always says, it's always one ring up the ladder. It's a continuous process. And so we all need to be committed to this journey. Holly Hill Proud does not stop for me tonight. It is who I am, and I'll always be here to help our city to continue to thrive. So I just want to thank you all, and thank you for listening to this, and let me get through some of those. I don't know what that water was that was coming out, but just allergies. It's bad in here. So if there is no further business, the last time I can bang this gavel, I want to say,
Hey, let me say one thing for you.
yes, sir.
Jeff Gordon, I think he's one of the best race car drivers I've ever known, personally in a way, and he was very emotional.
That's true. Hey, I'll take it.
So
I'll take it.
don't let it bother you. And Earnhardt used to ag him on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Well, with that said, I want to end by saying thank you all for these last 8 years. And, well, I still got till November 12th.
Yeah.
And then we'll be swearing in another great mayor. So with that being said, let's all continue to move forward. This meeting is adjourned.